the magician in the world of Doraemon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451 Enemy. Old Manling was silent for a while before explaining. The first time I saw this secret technique was on the battlefield. The enemy of the demon clan called themselves the God Clan. Oh, you are finally willing to tell me these things. I thought you would continue to hide it. Yu and Dazzy looked a little amused. Unexpectedly, after so long, the soul-devouring monument was finally willing to tell him what happened before. The old man cleared his throat. Stop talking nonsense and listen to me. This is why you came here. Otherwise I would not bother to come here. Yu and Dazzy hurriedly sat down obediently. Since it was related to him, he had to listen to this matter. Those gods are very strong, and we, the demons, tasted defeat for the first time. Of course, this is also related to our underestimation of the enemy. After the first war, those guys sacrificed the bodies of their own people and the demons as trophies. Wait. And as he interrupted him quickly, you just said that they sacrificed their own people as well. That's right, they are a group of extremely selfish people. They don't take other people's lives seriously at all. Even their own kind will do anything to improve their strength. Their own kind are nothing more than ladders in their eyes. The Demon King who discovered this immediately decided to fight them to the end, even if it was to the last demon soldier. This is the origin of the feud between our demon race and the gods. This secret technique should have been lost now. The one who reappeared in the world should be that guy. At this point, Old Manling ended the topic. So you don't have much time. We have to speed up. And as he nodded, and then the two of them stood up and prepared to decorate the house. The two of them made the same choice. Since strength can only be acquired slowly, they should carve better magic patterns. Yu and Dazzy was busy until 12 o'clock, and only then he finished carving the first magic pattern given to him by the old man. Is it alright like this? I always feel that it is right to do it so quickly. Yu and Dazzy looked at the magic pattern. That seemed to have no effect, and he was a little bit unbelieving in his heart. Not yet. This thing needs time to absorb the power of nature to form a barrier. How can it be so easy to complete the defense that can resist the attack of a 4th level strongman? Dazzy stood up and stretched his waist. Okay, we will continue to carve new ones tomorrow. Let's stop here today. After the two reached an agreement, Yu and Dazzy returned to his room and lay down to rest. The old man did not plan to rest for the time being. Now his energy is more abundant than expected, so he still has things to do. The soul-devouring monument floated to the vicinity of King Gyu and began to formulate a series of exercise plans based on his physical fitness and characteristics. After buying him more than 10 sets of clothes for him to change and wash tomorrow, he can start his own plan. There is not much time left for them. If that guy wakes up from the endless reincarnation again, the current Yu and Dazzy will not be able to resist at all, and they will have no choice but to die. For their safety, King Gyu and he must grow up as soon as possible, even if the price of doing so is to overdraw their lives. In fact, Yu and Dazzy's life has long been overdrawn, but he himself has not discovered it. Otherwise, if he can cross the distance of decades of others in such a short time, do you really think he is a genius? For the lives of most of the monsters in the world he is watching, some sacrifices are always necessary. Looking at King Gyu who has gradually fallen asleep, Ling Feng stroked King Gyu's head with his hand and sighed slightly. The next few days will be hard for this child. The next morning, after Yu and Dazzy went to school, King Gyu went to the street alone according to the old man's instructions. Along the way, he kept thinking about what the old man had just said. Go buy some clothes and enjoy the last leisure time. And as he came to the classroom, Shizuka sat in her seat and waited for other classmates to arrive with Nobita. Hey, Nobita, you're here so early? Dazzy looked out the window. The sun was still in the east today. Nobita, with the flame still burning behind him, coughed and said, I came so early today, just to tell my classmates something. After hearing his words, Dazzy shrugged and sat back in his seat. He probably guessed what Nobita would say. But Doraemon's props are really amazing. They can make Nobita work so hard. Sure enough, after everyone came together, Nobita stood on the podium and his eyes swept across everyone below mercilessly. Some people remembered that they had been stood up yesterday afternoon and suddenly felt a little guilty, so they lowered their heads. I know everyone has their own things to do, but we are going to hold a sports meeting tomorrow. Can't you spare an afternoon? As he said that, Nobita raised his voice. This is not just my business, it concerns the honor of our entire class. There are 20 people in the centipede race, but we only had 2 people practicing yesterday afternoon. After such a thing happened, don't you really take this class seriously? The people below lowered their heads unconsciously. This matter was indeed their problem. Many people would rather play games than come to practice with them. Other competitions can be said to be individual matters, but the centipede race is a collective matter. If this project takes the last place, it is not one person who is embarrassed, but everyone in our class. The collective honor must be earned back by our own hands, not by charity from others, and don't dream of it falling from the sky. After school this afternoon, I will still wait for you in the open space. This time, I don't want anyone to be absent. After saying that, Nobita walked to his seat and sat down. There was no expression on his face. I don't know what he was thinking. And as he wiped a cold sweat. Did this guy get the wrong script? This line doesn't sound like yours. I didn't expect that the so-called hot-blooded bean paste bun could actually change a person's aura. It's really interesting. Well said. There was a cheer from outside the door, and the teacher clapped his hands and walked in slowly. The centipede race is a collective thing, so I hope you can also take out your precious time to participate. The teacher put the book on the table, bowed to everyone seriously, and expressed his apology. I'm sorry, I should have figured out a way to deal with this matter. But because of the regulations, I can't take up class time for everyone to practice privately. So I hope you can try your best once and fight for your own honor. After a period of silence, the students shouted collectively, "Don't worry, teacher, we will definitely win the first place." And as he was well prepared, he first used his mental power to block the sound in this classroom so as not to alert the 2 classes next to him. The teacher nodded with satisfaction, took out a stack of papers from his pocket, and began to look for the right person to give him. These are the registration forms. All the events for the sports meet are listed on them. If you are interested, you can sign up to participate. After that, the teacher walked over and handed the registration forms to Yu and Daisuke. Student Yu, I believe you can do a good job. Give me these statistical tables by noon today. Chapter 452, Nobita's Change. After finishing the trivial matters, the teacher turned back to the podium and officially started the class. After the first class, a bunch of students surrounded him and started chattering about what events they wanted to sign up for. Yu and Daisuke was so noisy that he couldn't tell who was who, so he clapped his hands and shouted, "Be quiet." The invisible momentum emanated, shocking all the students, and the classroom became silent at this moment. Seeing that no one was talking, he suppressed his anger in his heart. "Listen now, those who want to sign up, line up, one by one." Everyone lined up and reported their names and events one by one. In just one class break, Yu and Daisuke counted all the events. This is relatively simple. Next, let's see what events I want to sign up for. He picked up the form and added his name after the 2 events he wanted to participate in. What a pity, there are only 2 events left besides the centipede race. Putting down the registration form, the class bell rang, and Yu and Daisuke also took out his textbook to prepare for class. After school in the afternoon, Yu and Daisuke just walked to the door of his house and heard a cry coming from the house. He picked up his school bag and walked into the house. "Old man, what's going on? Did you bully him again?" The old man's figure appeared because I just scolded him, but he couldn't stand it, so he cried. Children nowadays have poor psychological tolerance. Is it that serious? Yu and Daisuke walked forward and prepared to take him away. "I'll take him out to relax." The old man's spirit suddenly blocked in front of him. "No. Now his training will be taken over by me. You are not allowed to interfere." Hearing this, Yu and Daisuke felt a little unhappy. "King guy who is still a child, are you really like this? Just when he was about to speak, the soul-devouring monument said first, "No matter what you say this time, my decision will not change." This sentence made him choke, but Yu and Dazi really had no way to deal with the old man in front of him. Although he always quarreled with him, it was the first time he met someone who was so determined to do something. After a moment of silence, Yu and Dazi threw his school bag up and said, "You are so cruel, old man." After that, he turned around and left the house angrily. The old man sighed. Then he turned his head and shouted at King Gaiu, who was in a daze, "Why are you standing there? I will add 5 more sets of exercises. I told you not to stand there." After Yu and Dazi and the old man left the house in a huff, he headed towards Demushin's house, ready to visit him. By the way, it was still his aunt who opened the door for him today, but her complexion was a little better, and she didn't seem to be angry anymore. When he came to the second floor, Demushin was reading a book in his seat. Seeing Yu and Dazi coming, he put down the book in his hand. "You are here. Have you nothing to do in school recently?" "Yes, I just need to practice centipede race walking." "You look in good spirits, and you should be feeling better now, right?" Zyadishin nodded. "Yes, I'm almost better now. How about sitting down and having a cup of tea before leaving?" "No need." Yu and Dazi waved his hand. "We are going to practice centipede race walking in the open space, and we will have the competition tomorrow." Hearing this, Zyadishin was stunned for a moment. "Tomorrow? Is tomorrow the time for the school sports meeting? This is bad." After getting Yu and Dazi's affirmative answer, Chumushin was a little unbelievable. "Really? I actually missed such an important thing." Then he hurriedly began to search the closet. "You go first. I will come to practice later." "Okay, then I will leave first. If you are not feeling well, don't force yourself." After saying goodbye to Chumushin, Yu and Dazi walked straight to the open space. At this time, more than a dozen students had come here, and Yu and Dazi was almost late. "Sorry, I was delayed by something just now." He hurriedly walked into the team and prepared to participate in the formal practice. No one said anything, and the delay was not too long, so it was not a big deal. And the most important thing is that some students have not come, such as Fat Tiger, and there is still no sign of him. Not long after, Nobita, with flames all over his body, came out and began to count the number of people in this competition one by one. Because the sports meeting will start tomorrow, his fighting spirit is extremely strong now, so the flames on his body are also extremely fierce, and the flames are so strong that people can't open their eyes. There are only 19 people so far. Tsuneyoshi and his sister can't come because of family reasons, so only Diki and Fat Tiger are left. Nobita began to calculate. Everyone knew about Diki's situation, but what was Fat Tiger doing? And why didn't he come to participate in this practice? And didn't he also vow this morning that he would definitely participate in the practice of centipede race walking? After thinking for a while, Nobita decided to give up on them and walk to the front. "Forget about them. Let's start practicing centipede race walking now." The people behind put on their clogs one by one, and Nobita stood at the front. His eyes became extremely sharp. "Are you ready?" Just then, a voice came from behind everyone. "Wait a minute. There is another person coming. Wait for him to come together." The others looked at Yu and Dazi behind them, with puzzled eyes as if asking him, "Who else can come?" At this time, the figure of Dekisugi had appeared in the sensing range of Yu and Dazi, and was approaching this side rapidly. A minute later, Zyadishin finally came to the entrance of the open space panting. "I'm so sorry, I accidentally came late." Nobita nodded. "It doesn't matter, your coming is the greatest support for us. Now hurry back to the team." The significance of Dekisugi's appearance is somewhat different, because now with him, they can officially gather 20 people. After receiving the order, he immediately stood at the last of the 20 clogs and prepared to start running. "Listen to my command. When I say start, everyone's first step is to take the right foot. Ready, go." Everyone stepped out their right foot at the same time and began to run in the open space. Although they were a little unfamiliar at the beginning and the speed was very slow, after getting used to it, the speed gradually increased and the steps became more uniform. Yes, that's it. Nobita felt the power of the team, and the fire in him became more vigorous. In the running back and forth, The tacit understanding of the whole class began to improve, and everyone was immersed in this strange feeling. After running for half an hour, it was the first break time. Gian and as he walked towards Doraemon, "Here is 5,000 yuan. Go buy some juice for everyone. If it's not enough, tell me again." Gian and as he handed the money he had on him to the blue fat man. This was his only pocket money. After all, the Dark Star cape was not on him now. Doraemon nodded and quickly ran to the nearby convenience store, intending to bargain with the boss. 20 cans of juice is not a small amount. If the boss gave him a zero, it would not be a big problem. After a 5-minute break, Nobita stood up again. "Okay, let's continue practicing." Although a little tired, no one complained and stood in their own position again. During this practice, everyone started much faster than the previous practice, and the speed was still increasing. Doraemon came back with juice and saw this scene, and a feeling of relief surged in his heart. Nobita, who had been taken care of by him for more than half a year, finally looked a little grown up. Now he has friends and is gradually becoming excellent. Surrounding him are not only his two bad friends, Fat Tiger and Sunia, but also many excellent people, encouragement, and laughter. Maybe in the near future, Nobita will be happy, and he can leave with peace of mind, and return to the future? Thinking of this, Doraemon suddenly felt sad again. Is the time for them to part soon? Chapter 453 Rejection Again. After practicing for more than half an hour in the open space, everyone got off their clogs, and took a break. Doraemon also took out the juice he had just bought. "Here, these juices are all treated by classmate Gian. Everyone drink them quickly." The students all took a can of drink, and drank it happily. A can of drink after exercise can make people happy the most. After resting for a while, Nobita found the blue fat man. "Doraemon, I have something to trouble you." After a while, Doraemon took out a roll of tape. "Don't worry, this little thing is still very easy to do." Then the blue fat man ran to the side and stuck the two sides of the tape on the wall, and the entire wall instantly became a plane. After deploying the plane, Doraemon took out a piece of chalk and walked in alone and began to draw a straight line on the ground. Just now, Nobita felt that they had a certain foundation, so he wanted to come to a formal test to see how long it would take for them to race 100 meters in the centipede. Under the precise calculation of the blue fat man, he quickly came back from the horizon tape and nodded to Nobita. "Everyone come here." Nobita suddenly shouted, "The practice is over. We are going to enter the formal test next." Everyone came closer to him, and he said to Yu and Daisuke, "Please take our clogs." "No problem." Yu and Daisuke walked over and picked up the pair of 5 or 6 meters long clogs, then returned to the team to wait for Nobita to speak. "Next we will enter the horizon space, where we will not have any scruples." Nobita pointed to the horizon next to him, so that everyone could understand what he meant. "There, we will have a 100-meter test, to see the results of our training today." Led by Nobita, the students walked into the horizon space together, and stood on the starting line drawn by Doraemon. Then the students put on their clogs one by one, all ready to face today's test. Doraemon glanced at Dekisugi, who was standing at the end. "Dekisugi, can you still hold on now? If not, get off." Zyadishan behind Yu and Daisuke was already sweating profusely, and the whole person looked like he was about to collapse. After all, he has just recovered from a serious illness. If he can't hold on, there is no need to force himself. I believe that the classmates will understand. Dekisugi shook his head. "Don't worry, it's just this level. I'm still fine. You know, I usually run 5 kilometers. Seeing that he was so persistent, Doraemon didn't intend to stop him, but picked up the whistle. "Then everyone, please get ready. Today's centipede race walk 100 meters test is about to begin." After that, he blew the whistle in his mouth, and everyone stepped out with their right feet tacitly. The wooden clogs kept contacting the ground, and the crisp sound kept ringing here, and the rhythm was getting faster and faster. More than 10 seconds later, everyone appeared at the finish line. When Nobita, who was at the front, crossed the finish line, Doraemon pressed the stopwatch switch. He looked at the stopwatch and announced the result. The current result is 17.01 seconds, which is not bad for the first formal practice. Nobita shook his head repeatedly. "No. The records of the other two classes are 16.03 seconds. We must be faster than them. Gian and as he frowned, the difference was a full second. This gap doesn't sound big, but it is not small. After all, the speed is close to the limit. If you want to improve it, it will be very difficult. Everyone did a good job this time. But we can't be complacent now. Nobita suddenly turned on the protagonist mode. We can be faster and stronger. Let's do it again. After listening to his speech, everyone felt that their tired bodies were full of strength and stood up again. Although they had been training for an hour, everyone was more energetic after being motivated. In addition, in order to encourage everyone, the teacher did not leave homework today, so that everyone could train with peace of mind. Anyway, there is a sports meeting tomorrow, so it is also a good choice to let them relax after training. After running 10 times in a row, everyone's physical strength has been close to the limit, and the time required for running is also close to the limit. This time the time is 16.05 seconds. If everyone works harder, we can definitely win. Doraemon looked at the numbers on the stopwatch and suddenly became extremely happy because he witnessed the growth of these classmates with his own eyes. But except for Yu and Dazi and a few others, the current students' bodies are almost unable to bear it, and they are estimated to need to rest for a while. At this time, Sunia suddenly walked in front of Nobita. It's like this. I have a suggestion. Nobita, who was full of fighting spirit, looked at him. Tell it, as long as it is beneficial to tomorrow's game, it's fine. It's like this. The students in class 1 and class 3 are led by taller people. Should we also? After hearing Sunia's words, everyone remembered Fat Tiger. Now it seems that he really needs to join. Nobita lowered his head and began to think, while Yu and Dazi looked at the students sitting on the ground and asked about their situation. Nobita, I think Sunia's proposal is feasible. Yu and Dazi stood up and agreed with Sunia's opinion. The student's physical strength is close to the limit now, so let's go find Fat Tiger together and take a break. Seeing that Yu and Dazi also said so, and it was indeed the case, Nobita also nodded. In this case, then let's take a break first. Let's go find Fat Tiger together and persuade him to join. Okay. Everyone raised their hands, indicating that they agreed with this proposal. Then, led by Nobita, everyone walked towards the location of the horizon tape. Doraemon did not rush to leave, but put the 6-meter-long clogs into his pocket first, and then followed them. The next time the horizon tape comes, In may not be here. In order to avoid losing the props for the game, he can only put it away first. It's a coincidence that everyone just walked towards Fat Tiger's home, and happened to meet Fat Tiger riding a bicycle. Wait a minute, Fat Tiger. Nobita, surrounded by flames, immediately stopped in front of Fat Tiger and forced him to stop. Fat Tiger immediately yelled, "What are you doing? Don't you know it's dangerous to do this? Get out of the way." Fat Tiger, who was stopped by force, looked unhappy. "If you don't get out of the way, I'll beat you up, believe it or not." Everyone in the class, except Nobita, hid behind Yu and Dazi tacitly, sticking their heads out to look around. Of course, Fat Tiger was just joking. How could he be an enemy of the whole class at this moment? He's not stupid. Moreover, he didn't participate in the class training this time, which was in itself very wrong. Anyone with a little bit of brains would not choose to take action. Seeing that Nobita had no intention of getting out of the way, Fat Tiger got out of the car helplessly and looked at Nobita in front of him. "What on earth do you want to do? I still have to deliver goods. I want you to join us now." Nobita looked at Fat Tiger without any retreat. This time he was serious. Fat Tiger shook his head. "No, I have to deliver the goods today. If I don't go now, it will be too late." After saying that, he pushed Nobita away, got on his bike and ran away, leaving Nobita in a daze. Damn it. Seeing that he was so disunited, Nobita immediately planned to catch up and teach him a lesson. Even if he couldn't beat him, he had to let the other party know the consequences of disunity at this time. At this time, Yu and Dazi reached out and grabbed him. "No need to go. He should really be unable to participate in the practice." According to the other party's sole reaction, Fat Tiger is indeed important now, and he should have his own difficulties. Everyone was silent for a while. If it was really an emergency at home, it would not be good to force the other party. Then what should we do now? Go back and continue practicing, or stop here today? Nobita looked at Yu and Daisuke, hoping that he would give a suitable answer. Chapter 454 Persuasion. Neither. Yu and Daisuke shook his head and gave his own answer. I think we should go to Fat Tiger's home once and find out why he didn't come to participate. Yu and Daisuke's voice became low. If something really happened in his family, I think we should try to help him first, instead of forcing him to help. The classmates behind him nodded tacitly. They had always been concerned about the honor of the team, but ignored each other's feelings. So, these 21 people came to the door of Gangshan store and knocked on their door. And the person who opened the door for them this time was someone they rarely saw, Fat Tiger's sister Zayazu. Seeing so many customers, Zayazu was also shocked. My brother's classmates? The whole class is here. I'm sorry, my brother is not here for the time being. It's like this, we want him to participate in the centipede race, but he doesn't want to. Is there something wrong? After listening to Nobita's words, Zayazu was silent for a while before saying, because my mother is sick. Then she pointed to the piles of goods in the store. These things are to be delivered to customers, but now only my brother can go. After everyone present was silent for a while, Nobita said, I know, let's go find him now. Walking out of the store, Doraemon immediately took out the cane and began to follow Fat Tiger's steps. Not long after, they found Fat Tiger at the door of someone else's house and delivered a batch of goods. Just as he was about to leave on his bike, everyone surrounded Fat Tiger and stopped him. Fat Tiger was really angry this time. What are you doing? Didn't I say I won't participate in the practice? Don't delay my delivery. Nobita walked up to him. We know about your situation. Why didn't you tell us before? A girl behind him suddenly said, please let us help too. Yes, me too. Seeing his classmates, he suddenly felt that he had a lot of happiness around him, but he didn't know it. Sorry, it's all my fault. I don't believe you. Fat Tiger nodded vigorously. Then let's work hard together. Doraemon took out the clogs again. Let's deliver the goods now. There are exactly 20 people who can participate. Nobita stood on the clogs again, but this time he stood in the second position. The others followed him one by one, stood on the clogs, and waited for Fat Tiger. As for Dekisugi, he stood silently beside the team. With Fat Tiger, he no longer needed him to make up the number. His body is not well yet, so let him rest as much as possible. Fat Tiger did not disappoint everyone. He took off his shirt and tied it around his waist and stood in the first position. In that case, I'll trouble you this time. Now, let's go. After saying that, everyone raised their feet together and prepared to run to the next delivery location. As soon as the voice fell, Fat Tiger fell down because he was different from everyone else, and he raised his left foot. Everyone walked behind and laughed unkindly. It was rare to see Fat Tiger embarrassed, and the most important thing is that there is Yu and Daisuke watching next to him, so it won't be a problem if he laughs. Fat Tiger himself also laughed. I'm so sorry, it seems that without practice, I really can't participate in the centipede race. Everyone stood still again. Then, let's go. Then everyone took their right foot together. Doraemon looked at their backs as they walked away and felt a little happier. Then he walked towards Fat Tiger's home. What he needed to do now was to return Fat Tiger's bicycle and completely solve his worries. By the time Fat Tiger had delivered all the goods, it was almost 7 o'clock, and everyone went home. Although they didn't take the 100-meter test in the end, everyone believed that they would win tomorrow. After returning home, Yu and Daisuke found that King Guy was still being trained by the old man, and he looked miserable. Hey, old man, you. Before he finished speaking, the old man interrupted him. Go to the back mountain and catch 2 segmented insects. Yu and Daisuke was speechless. Hey, old man, why don't you let me finish my words first? The soul-devouring monument raised his eyes and looked at him lightly. Do you think I will listen to your advice as an amateur in training the younger generation? You. He pointed at the spirit of the soul-devouring monument, but he was so angry that he couldn't say anything. So he had to turn around and walk to the back mountain. You are so cruel this time, you old man. King Guyu's body had already reached its limit at this time, but the old man had no intention of letting him stop. The demon race had to constantly break through their own limits in order to grow rapidly. Eat, sleep, sleep, eat. That was the way of growing up in peacetime, but it is no longer suitable now. Now old man Ling is still ruthlessly correcting his every move. If he still doesn't change, he will be beaten. And as he was walking on the street, and the things that happened just now were lingering in his mind. The more he thought about it, the more unhappy he felt. This old man is really something. Is it necessary to train such a young child like this? He kicked a stone in anger and broke half of the electric pole. When he walked to the back mountain, it still looked the same as before, and he couldn't find the segmented insects he mentioned. I remember the old man said that this thing seemed to be placed in the newly planted snow bamboo forest in the back mountain. Let's go there and take a look. And as he walked towards the area with bamboo forest according to his memory, while paying attention to the surrounding environment. Speaking of which, this back mountain is simply omnipotent. It seems that any plant can be found here and survive here. He suddenly recalled the setting of the back mountain and couldn't help but complain a little about the omnipotent back mountain. Not long after, he appeared at the edge of the bamboo forest. Okay, the old man said there are cute segmented insect larvae here. Although he didn't think that insects would be cute, he was still very curious about the unripe segmented insects. Because many insects are white and soft, before they are mature, they look very cute. Little segmented insects, where are you? I'm coming to find you. And as he called the name of the food while walking forward. At this moment, a little insect with a length of 5 meters and a width of half a meter suddenly appeared in front of him, with countless sharp legs like blades all over its body, which made and as he stunned for a moment. No matter how you look at this thing, it is completely different from the insects they ate yesterday. Did he find the wrong one? But the problem is that this thing is the only abnormal creature on the back mountain. If it is not brought by the old man, then where did it come from? Is this the segmented insect that the dead old man said is very cute? I believe your lies. This creature with only legs and a body almost made his intensive phobia go away, and he shouted in his hometown dialect. When the segmented insects saw someone invading their territory, they stretched out their legs and turned into blades to stab and as he. How dare you fight me? And as he didn't care. He easily subdued it with a soul attack, then rolled it up like a ball of wool and carried it on his shoulder. The dark star cloak emerged, covering their bodies, and then rushed towards his home. He didn't want to stay here for a second. When he thought of the many cute segmented insects in here, his scalp tingled. Back home, and as he had no interest in the master and apprentice, and went straight to the kitchen. The method of making this insect was transmitted to him by the old man's soul, so he was responsible for making dinner. The shell of the insect was peeled off, revealing the brown red meat inside, and a strange fragrance gradually filled the entire kitchen. Strange, it smells so good now, why does it become so weird after being cooked? It turns out that his cooking skills are not good. Not long after, he brought the fresh segmented insect rice to the table. Kingayu, come in and eat. Kingayu was shocked when he heard this and looked at the old man who was still supervising him with a little pleading in his eyes. Chapter 455, Rest Day from Training. The old man waved his hand. Let's stop here for today. Go eat quickly and continue tomorrow. After hearing the last sentence, Kingayu, who had been relaxed, suddenly became depressed again. He really couldn't stand this kind of training. After sitting down in the restaurant, Kingayu picked up his dinner and ate it without even chewing. The old man's spirit returned to and as his sea of consciousness and began to cultivate the mental power he had used up during the day. By the way, this thing is for you. Kingayu can't use it now. Take it back and continue to nourish it. A grey cloak appeared in front of and as he took it back into his body and continued to nourish it with magic power. At present, the wounds of the Dark Star Cloak Bull Demon King have not healed completely. With the nourishment of his magic power, one will recover soon. Then as he turned on the TV, several more people were killed in the news. The postures of the dead were no different from the previous ones. According to incomplete statistics, 27 people have been killed. There is no connection between the victims, and the criminal's motive is still unclear. When the director reminded everyone not to go out casually, and as he frowned, have so many people been killed? I wonder if anyone will take care of him. The old man was also a little headache. Yes, after absorbing so many people, his current strength should be at the peak of level 2, right? It may even have reached level 3. After the two discussed for a few words, they didn't care too much. Anyway, there was no threat to him for the time being. For now, the most important thing for Yu and Dazi is to quickly enter the 4th level magician. After the advancement, the opponent will not be a threat to him. And the old man also said that before reaching the 4th level, he is not even qualified to touch the core secrets of the demon clan. After dinner, King Gaiu took Yu and Dazi's bowl very attentively and ran to the side to wash the dishes. Yu and Dazi came to the 2nd floor and started to meditate and practice magic tonight. He waited until 11 o'clock before he finished practicing magic and opened his eyes to rest. But he suddenly found that King Gaiu had been lying beside him for some time and had fallen asleep while waiting for him. Yu and Dazi also yawned. He had been practicing for too long and his mental strength was about to be overdrawn. He used 2 cleansing spells to clean them, and then Dazi picked up the sleeping King Gaiu and prepared to put him on the bed in the next room. At this moment, King Gaiu was awakened. "Brother, have you finished practicing? I want to discuss something with you." "Go ahead." Needless to say, Yu and Dazi had already guessed that it was probably about the old man's training him. "Can you talk to the ancestor spirit and not train so harshly? I'm really tired today." He put King Gaiu on his little bed. "Don't worry, I will discuss this matter with the old man." "Great, thank you, brother." After getting Yu and Dazi's assurance, King Gaiu was obviously much happier. After covering him with the quilt, Yu and Dazi was about to leave. "Then you should have a good rest today. Good night." Walking out of the door, Yu and Dazi began to call the soul-devouring monument in his sea of consciousness. "Did you hear that, old man? Stop talking nonsense." I heard it clearly. His voice was still unhurried, which made people feel helpless. "I carefully formulated the training plan for that kid, and there is no room for negotiation." "Then can't you reduce the amount of training? I feel that he is about to be ruined by you." "No, now he can't even master the demon power skillfully, and this cannot be changed. And he inherited most of Lanshu's demon power, and it is absolutely impossible for me to ruin him." "Don't worry. Then when will you give him some rest in your plan?" This stumped the old man. There was indeed no rest time in his original plan. But looking at their current situation, if he was not allowed to rest, neither of them would agree. And now he also felt that it was indeed too difficult for him to have no rest time. "There is 1 day of rest every week. You can decide which day it is." "Okay, I'm going to sleep." After saying that, the old man fell silent. No matter how he called, there was no sound. TSK, this guy starts to play dead when he encounters something. After complaining for a few words, Yu and Dazi knew that the old man didn't seem to want to discuss this matter anymore. He also tried his best to help King Gaiu get a day of rest, which was barely worthy of him. Forget it. Let's just leave it at that. I'd better go back to sleep quickly. Whoever wants to care can care. The next morning, Yu and Dazi walked to King Gaiu's bedside. At this time, the child was sleeping soundly. After all, he had a whole day of high-intensity training yesterday, so it was normal to be so tired. He stretched out his hand and pushed King Gaiu. "King Gaiu, get up. I have something to tell you now." Hearing this, King Gaiu showed no sign of waking up at all and turned over and continued to sleep. "Well, this guy looks really tired yesterday. Let him sleep a little longer." Yu and Dazi turned around, ready to let him continue to rest, and went to school by himself. The old man's spirit suddenly appeared. "Wake up. Let's start training now. I'll give you 5 seconds." As soon as he finished speaking, King Gaiu, who was still sleeping, woke up instantly and jumped up from the bed immediately. Yes. Seeing him so panicked, Yu and Dazi was a little helpless. "How much psychological trauma did you cause him yesterday?" "Don't talk nonsense. I used to train the demons like this. If it weren't for the strict training, the remaining demons would have been exterminated long ago." Yu and Dazi suddenly felt a little strange. "Then why didn't you train me in the first place and let me fend for myself?" The old man was speechless for a moment, and he didn't know how to answer this question. It's impossible to say that you are practicing with your own life, so your body at the time couldn't bear this kind of practice at all. and the effect of the practice of the skills given to him is much better than this kind of training, so there is no need. But this can't be said directly. Old Man Ling organized his words. Nothing. After all, you are not a member of the demon race, and this kind of training will do you no good. And you have a good talent and advance quickly, so I didn't care about you. Oh. So my talent is still very good. Then you keep saying that choosing me is a helpless move. Soul Devouring Monument was a little exasperated. Stop talking nonsense. Tell me your story. I'm going to start training. Hearing the word training from Master Zuling, King Gaiu's body trembled involuntarily. And as he then turned his head and looked at King Gaiu, I discussed with this old man yesterday about how you should train. Hearing this, King Gaiu looked at him with joy, as if she saw the light of hope. Unfortunately, the old man would rather die than let go on this point, so your training volume is the same as before. After hearing this, both of them could clearly see that his mood had dropped, and there seemed to be a lot of black lines behind him as a background. Don't be anxious yet. I have some good news. Listen to it before you feel depressed. After saying this, and as he walked forward, from now on, you will have one day off a week, and I will decide it. Then he grabbed King Gaiu's hand and dragged him out. Come on. Follow me to the school to watch the sports meeting today, and don't worry about this old man. Yeah. That's great. It's a holiday. After hearing what and Dazi said, the child instantly pulled and Dazi outside. Chumashin just walked out of his room and saw and Dazi being dragged away by King Gaiu. The speed was so fast that he could only see a little after image. What happened? He was stunned for a few seconds and then pulled out a school bag from the room. Wait, Dazi, you haven't taken your school bag yet. Chapter 456, Centipede Race. Arriving at school, and Dazi first put the cloak on King Gaiu, making him invisible. Without anyone noticing, and Dazi and King Gaiu came to the classroom together. A few minutes later, Tsuneo Shiyuma also came to his seat and put down his school bag. Then he looked at the side with some confusion. When he sat down just now, the seat seemed to hit something, and King Gaiu silently took a step back to avoid being accidentally hit again. Not long after, the teacher came to the podium, wearing a sportswear for physical education class. Seeing that everyone was sitting in their seats with full energy, he was also happy. Very good, everyone is here. Nobita, how was the practice of the centipede race walking yesterday? Nobita, whose flames were still not fading, stood up and said, don't worry, teacher, our class will definitely win the championship in this competition. The teacher nodded. Judging from what he said, everyone should have gone through rigorous training yesterday afternoon, right? Then the teacher looked at Zayashin. Student Izuki, how is your health now? If you are not feeling well, don't force yourself. Don't worry about me. After exercising yesterday, I feel that my body has fully recovered. The teacher nodded again and smiled with satisfaction. Very good. Everyone go change into sportswear now. Yes. All the students present stood up and ran towards their own class locker room. After everyone changed their clothes, the teacher took them to the playground and the school leaders were ready to go on stage. Classmates, please wait here for a moment. It's time to welcome your parents. I'm going to meet your parents. Hearing this, and as he looked at Demishin, Yinkei, your aunt should come to visit this time, right? Demishin nodded. Yes, she will leave this afternoon, so she will come to visit our competition in the morning. Then as he looked at King Gaiu, you will find a chance to sneak into the audience later, okay? King Gaiu, who had been following him, made an okay gesture to him. Don't worry, I can handle this little thing. In the morning, as usual, the leaders spoke first, and then the sports meeting that everyone had been looking forward to. The centipede race was arranged in the first game for the convenience of management. This game was from the lowest to the highest age, so the first to open was the first grade. When everyone was cheering for them, Fat Tiger and Sunia approached Nobita and and Dazi. Let's go over there and change clothes. and Dazi was very surprised. Change clothes? Do we have any other clothes to wear? Fat Tiger smiled mysteriously at his doubts. You will know soon. A few minutes later, and Dazi looked at a long piece of cloth, and his face was full of despair. The clothes you are talking about are this long piece of cloth. Do you think you are cosplaying as a mummy? That's right. This so-called clothes is just a long piece of cloth covering the key parts. Yu and Daisuke, who has no understanding of this Japanese custom, will never accept such a thing. The three people persuaded him for a long time, but Yu and Daisuke just refused to listen, so they had to give up. When they changed their clothes and returned to the field, the third grade centipede walking race was already being held on the field. You're back. Why are you dressed like this? Forget it. Let's go over there and get ready. The teacher pointed to the team that had already assembled. There are only a few of you left. Fat Tiger, Sunia, and Nobita walked to the front of the team with 3 buckets of water. For our victory, fill these buckets with water. After saying that, he poured a full bucket of water on his head, and he immediately felt refreshed. Sunia also picked up the cold water. Let them see our determination. After saying that, he also poured it on his head. As the cold water poured down, he couldn't help but shiver. It was really cold. No wonder Dekisugi caught a cold. And Nobita also picked up the bucket of water. I'll have one too. He also poured it down like others. Doraemon in the audience was shocked. Oh no. If he pours it down now, the effect of the hot-blooded bean paste bun will. Sure enough, when the cold water was poured on Nobita's head, the effect of the hot-blooded bean paste bun that they had been carefully protecting for the past few days disappeared. The flame was not a phantom, but a real manifestation of Nobita's fighting spirit. If the flame went out, it would be equivalent to the disappearance of fighting spirit. As expected, Nobita seemed to have lost his soul, and his whole body became loose and his fighting spirit was far less than before. The mothers in the audience nodded with satisfaction. Yes, my son is really brave. Nobita lost the effect of the props and was a little panicked. What should I do? If I continue in this state, I will definitely be a drag. At this time, the voice of the broadcast came. Please pay attention. The 4th grade competition is about to begin. Damn it, why is it at this time? Nobita stood at the end of the team angrily and began to regret his impulsive behavior. But now the arrow is on the string, and he has to be on guard. He can only stand near the starting line with everyone and put out the clogs he used for training. The referee walked in front of everyone and began to check the placement of the clogs of the 3 teams. After confirming that no team crossed the line, he stood up and walked in front of everyone. Okay, now please stand on the clogs together. The competition will start soon. Almost everyone in the 4th grade stood on the clogs together, and the atmosphere on the scene suddenly became tense. The 3 leaders on the scene looked at each other and noticed the fighting spirit in each other's eyes. The referee in front saw that everyone was ready, so he walked to both sides of the road and gave the competition venue behind him to these people. He was not stupid enough to block the road of these people. What if someone accidentally stepped on him? After confirming again that no one stepped on the line, the referee raised his command gun. Everyone, get ready, run. The gun sounded, and everyone rushed out, kicking off the prelude to this competition. At the end, Nobita was so nervous that he forgot which foot to step first. This shortcoming was a bit fatal, causing everyone to start a little slower than other classes and fell to the last place. Yu and Daisuke was also a little anxious, and the strength of his feet could not help but increase a few points. Shizuka and others also began to get anxious, and in order to catch up with them quickly, they also began to exert their strength. Driven by several people with special abilities, everyone's speed gradually increased, shortening the distance. But up to now, Nobita still couldn't keep up with everyone's pace, and even his pace was completely messed up. Under the strange power of Yu and Daisuke, Shizuka, Lizano and others, Nobita's own weight was not enough, and he was directly carried away by everyone. Carrying away means literally, because Nobita couldn't keep up with their speed. He was released like a kite at the end. The distance between the 3 began to close rapidly, and the distance to the finish line gradually shortened at this time. Most of the parents of the 4th grade students held their breath, waiting for the final result to be announced. When there was 1/5 of the race left, Fat Tiger was just a little bit away from the first place, but now the speed was close to the limit, and the time required to shorten the distance was also increasing. It was already in front of the finish line, and everyone had already taken out the speed of reincarnation, and began to sweat to their heart's content. Under such conditions, even if class 2 had a few special abilities and their speed was faster than other classes, the speed they could surpass was also limited. Chapter 457, Dangerous Premonition. Damn it, in this situation, I can't use my strength at all. Yu and as he and the team was very anxious, and now his shoes were on the verge of collapse. He had already exerted his strength to the limit of his shoes, but for a team with so many people, it was indeed a drop in the bucket. And most importantly, at this time, there was a Nobita who couldn't exert any strength behind him, dragging his feet, and his speed was inherently disadvantaged. Shizuka and the others were in a similar situation, and they had also exerted their strength to the extreme without superpowers. Although they can cheat through superpowers, since it is a competition, everyone should fight for it with their own abilities. At this moment, as if the world was helping, a gust of wind suddenly blew behind them. The wind was not strong, but it was not to the point where it could be ignored. This gust of wind, it came at the right time. Everyone present followed the wind and sped up their speed again. Finally, at the moment before the finish line, Fat Tiger led his team to surpass the other two classes and crossed the finish line first. Yeah, victory. The parents and students of class 2, grade 4 in the stands, were all boiling at this moment. Their children won the first place in the group. Although there was only a head difference between them and the second place, they still won the game. After everyone crossed the finish line, most of the students immediately got off their clogs and sat on the ground to rest. Everyone tried their best in this game. Although the distance was short, the physical strength consumed was not small at all. The referee also announced the results loudly. Third place, class 3, grade 4, 16.03 seconds. Third place, class 1, grade 4, 16.05 seconds. When he read the first one, he shouted at an 8-point speed. First place, class 2, grade 4, 15.97 seconds. The teachers present stood up with great satisfaction. This time, their class not only won the first place, but also broke the records of other classes. In other words, this time was entirely the result of everyone's hard work, and Nobita, who organized this practice, accounted for a large part of the credit. However, if Nobita had not been hanging behind as a kite just now, the teacher felt that Nobita's credit could actually be greater. Putting all distractions behind, the teacher walked in front of everyone. Everyone did a great job. The teacher knew that, as long as everyone worked together, we would succeed. The students all stood up from the ground, thanks to Nobita. Without him, the practice would not have been possible. Nobita touched his head embarrassedly. His performance just now was really unbearable to watch. Okay, everyone go and have a rest. When the certificates are distributed in the afternoon, we must take a photo to commemorate this moment. The teacher patted the students on the shoulders and sent them to the parents' team one by one. Zyashin's mother walked up to Demishin and said, "How are you? I think you are fine now, right?" Demishin nodded and said, "Don't worry, I feel fine now." "That's good. It looks like you have almost recovered." His mother also stood up and said, "I can go to work without any worries now." Gian and as he walked up to Kingayu and said, "How are you? We got the first place, isn't it great?" "Of course. Brother, you are the best." Kingayu, who was standing aside, cooperated with Yu and Dazi very tactfully and praised him. Doraemon looked at Nobita with disdain on his face. "Nobita, your performance just now was really eye-opening." His mother also lowered her head in embarrassment. "That's right, it's so embarrassing. Just now someone came over to ask her if the one who was dragged behind was his son Nobita. How do you answer this question?" "Yes and no, both are equally embarrassing." Nobita touched his head in embarrassment, and his face gradually turned red. This time he really didn't mean to cheat people. After the competition, Yu and Dazi found a place to sit nearby and watch the rest of the sports meeting with Kingayu. Anyway, the competition he signed up for was scheduled in the afternoon, so it would be nice to find a place to relax in the morning. However, when he was lazy, he accidentally heard the content of the conversation of the girls next to him. "Hey, have you heard? Magical Girl Momi will be officially broadcast today." Daz's ears are quite sensitive, and he just happened to hear this sentence, which made him feel a little familiar. Magical Girl Momi. I always feel like I seem to have heard this word somewhere. Let me think. He began to search his sea of consciousness, trying to find relevant clues in his messy memory. But his memories of 2 lives are too many and too complicated, and his impression of magical girl Momi is also very faint. It is really difficult to search for this fleeting inspiration. Just as he was thinking, the wind gradually blew around, and the sky became a little gloomy, which made people feel very depressed. And Yuandaz's heart suddenly had a warning sign, as if something ominous in the sky was approaching here quickly. Strange, why is there such a strange warning suddenly? Is there another enemy approaching? He felt very strange. Why the world, that seemed so harmonious, suddenly gave his intuition such a terrifying warning. Brother, what's wrong with you? King Gyu, who was beside him, saw that he began to be dazed, and waved her hand in front of him. As he came back to his senses and said quickly, "No, I just suddenly had a very strange feeling. It's just a small matter." Although he said it lightly, his heart was shrouded in a shadow, causing him to lose consciousness frequently. And these losses also caused him to have a small problem in the afternoon competition, which almost caused a death. In the shot put competition he signed up for in the afternoon, Yuandaz accidentally failed to control the force, and the shot flew directly out of the competition venue. And this direction happened to be towards the audience seats. If it weren't for Mushan, who had been outside the field, who caught the ball in time with his mental power, there would really be blood today. Because of this incident, Yuandaz had to ask for leave from the teacher in advance and took King Gyu home first. Brother, what happened to you today? It seems that you are not in good condition. On the way back, no matter how King Gyu asked, Yuandaz did not answer. Even the old man could not help but speak. Your mental state today is very strange. What's going on? But the only response to him was silence, as if he did not hear these questions at all. Now he felt that a huge stone was pressing on his heart, and there was only fear of the unknown in his heart. Ordinary external stimuli were difficult to reach his ears. The ominous premonition was approaching rapidly, as if something wanted to completely destroy the world. After returning home, Yuandaz silently activated the defense measures he had arranged, and then walked to the living room to relax. Although he also knew that, if the premonition came true, this little trick would not be able to protect his life at all. The old man and King Gyu also came to the living room. Seeing that his mental state was so bad, the two began to care about him. At this time, a news was being broadcast on TV, which attracted Yuandaz's attention. The news broadcaster on the screen picked up his manuscript. Next we are going to interview Dr. Manu. This is our exclusive report. Please watch it. The picture on the TV changed to a research institute where a bald doctor was being interviewed. It was said to be accepted, but if the word was replaced with forced to answer questions, it might be more in line with the current situation. A bunch of reporters were holding Canon-like cameras and microphones in front of him, making it impossible for him to leave. We heard that the satellites near the solar system have been destroyed. Is this true? What is the reason for the destruction? Please explain in detail. Chapter 458, Countermeasures. Seeing the current situation, Dr. Manu knew that, if he didn't reveal some information, he might not be able to leave today. The Discovery satellite was indeed destroyed, but we are still investigating the specific reasons. Please don't panic, there will be an accurate answer. In fact, the institute is forbidden to disclose this news, but it seems that it can no longer be concealed. Other countries have already made a big fuss. We heard that before the Discovery was destroyed, it seemed that a huge planet was approaching. Is it true? The doctor was completely shocked this time. Why would someone disclose such a critical thing? Who was the idiot who disclosed it? Although Dr. Manu was very angry about this, he had to fool around with it anyway. The video data is still being analyzed, so the information you got is not accurate. Dr. Manu was still struggling to hold on, while Yuandaz below was already in a state of turmoil. If you connect all the things you know, such as the magical girl Mami and the rapidly approaching star of unknown star, I understand why I have always had a bad feeling in my heart. It turns out that the demon star is coming. Dazi touched his chin and began to think, if this is the case, then the shadow in my heart will be completely clear. After learning what the ominous thing that was approaching was, the shadow in his heart disappeared without a trace. The previous fear was completely caused by the unknown of the horror of the future. Now he not only knows the source of this disaster, but also knows a solution. What else can he be afraid of? Isn't it just a thrilling demon world? He has been looking forward to this magic world for a long time. After all, as a magician, he also hopes that he can go to the magic world once. But you can't take it lightly. The danger level of this world is also very high, definitely more than the parallel journey to the west that you have experienced before. The previous Bull Demon King already had the strength of a 4th level gatekeeper, so I think this Demon King should not be weaker than a 4th level magician. Although he knew that he would not face King Dimmer, he had to work harder to practice magic power in order to protect himself in the next world. Yu and as he immediately walked out of the living room and came to the training room set up for himself. How it seems that I have to speed up my magic practice in the next period of time. After saying that, he took out the Archangel's staff and the Soul Crystal Ball and began to speed up his practice. The old man's spirit also floated out and blocked King Gayu, who was about to watch TV. Let's go to training. Why? Didn't you say that I should rest for a day today? King Gayu held the remote control, looking very reluctant. Yu and as he said this, he said that there will be another big adventure next, and that world is more dangerous, so you all must improve your strength as soon as possible. Hearing this, King Gayu also knew that this matter could not be delayed, so she had to put down the remote control and followed the old man to the yard with a helpless look on her face. Anyway, there is not much time left today, so the amount of training in such a short time is acceptable. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Yu and as he was still practicing magic power, with no sign of coming down. The old man had to go to the back mountain to catch 2 segmented insects and started to cook these delicious insects. Soon, he brought out 2 plates of steaming segmented insects and placed them on the dining table and called King Gayu. But the old man did not rush to call Yu and Daisuke, but pointed to a dish and said to King Gayu, "Cut your wrist and put some blood on his plate." Yu and Daisuke had never practiced for such a long time since he entered the 3rd level, and he estimated that the time of this practice would continue to increase. Considering that there was something wrong with his practice, Ling Feng was worried that he would have some problems if he practiced for a long time, which would lead to his discovery of the wrong practice. Why? King Gayu subconsciously covered his wrist, which was very painful. You don't need to know the specific reason, you just need to know that this is for his own good. Just think of it as a little sacrifice for him. Hearing this, King Gayu had to cut his wrist with his fingernails and drip blood into his bowl, while complaining to the old man, "I have been trained by you for so long, but you don't care about me." After a while, King Gayu withdrew his hand, and the blood he had lost was enough. The wound on his hand began to heal rapidly. After a few seconds, the wound that was originally bleeding was only a scar. Krillin is a mythical beast after all. Although it is not famous for its self-healing ability, it is not comparable to humans. This is why the old man engraved some self-healing magic patterns on the sword of the Dark Blade, in order to target this kind of enemy with super self-healing ability. The old man then sent a message to Yu and Daisuke, asking him to come down to eat quickly, otherwise the food would get cold. A minute later, he came to the restaurant below, looking a little tired. "So you have already prepared dinner, thank you very much." With that, Yu and Daisuke sat down in his seat. "Today's dinner looks good. Why is there so much soup in my bowl?" Yu and Daisuke looked at King Gayu's bowl and wondered why the soup in his bowl was reddish, and these things smelled fishy, and he always felt that they were not good things. Old Man Ling came out to explain, "Don't worry, I added special ingredients to increase your nutrition, which is very good for you." Hearing this, Daisuke didn't think much about it and began to eat the segmented insects in the bowl. After dinner, Yu and Daisuke felt that his mental state seemed to be better, so he immediately returned to the practice room and continued to extract his magic power. What kind of ingredients did this old man add? Why does it taste so fishy, but the internal ki and blood are so full? After sitting in meditation for more than half an hour, he felt that the surging ki and blood in his body began to calm down gradually. After practicing swordsmanship for another hour, he returned to his room and continued to refine magic. King Gayu was trained for a long time downstairs, and then cleaned up, and then lay down in the living room weakly. "Grandpa, I have done everything I need to do. Can I rest now?" Kingayu asked cautiously. He was worried that the ancestor spirit would throw a bunch of things at him again, making him restless again. "It's okay. You should rest now. And as he probably won't hinder my training plan in the near future. We have plenty of time to train. There is no rush now." The old man's body gradually disappeared and returned to Yuandaz's sea of consciousness and began to replenish his strength. Kingayu turned over, lay on the ground and fell asleep. Today was not an easy day. Yuandaz didn't leave the practice room until after 11 o'clock in the evening. Now he always feels that his body is very tired. And in this tiredness, there is also a feeling of emptiness, which makes him very uncomfortable. But he didn't think much about it. He just regarded it as a sequel he left after overdrawing magic power and vitality several times before, and didn't take it to heart. It's really tiring today, but the gains are not small. Let's go to bed quickly. And as he quickly walked to the living room and saw Kingayu, who was still lying on the ground and had fallen asleep. TSK, didn't anyone tell this kid that sleeping on the floor would cause him to catch a cold? And as he looked at him for a while, then carried him back to his room, and then he went out to rest. The next morning, Kingayu was woken up as usual and started his study life. And as he carried his school bag and went to school, ready to continue practicing his magic power in school. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459. Nobita wants to learn magic. After school in the afternoon, Yuandaz returned home immediately because his energy was almost enough to carve the 9th talisman. As long as he worked harder, he should be able to successfully carve the 9th talisman today, and he will be one step closer to the 4th level. At this time, Kingayu was still being trained rigorously, but as time went by, he was gradually adapting to this kind of intensive training. It was indeed as Ling Feng said, Kingayu's physical potential was very strong, but it just needed a lot of training to develop it. You guys continue. I'm going to practice on Yunding now. I'll let you know if there's anything. After leaving such a sentence, Yuandaz flew away in a hurry, leaving the two people looking at each other below. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Yuandaz returned to the room, with a faint look of excitement on his face. This afternoon, his training speed increased significantly, and he successfully carved the 9th talisman. Moreover, the power of heaven and earth given by this breakthrough was more sufficient, and the blessing on the body was also great, which made him a little happy. But what made him a little uncomfortable was that the time interval between the two movie plots was so short. Before, it was about once a month, but the interval between these two times was only about half a month. Although the plot of the movie has not been fully unfolded yet, the prelude has already appeared. In the clouds, he can clearly feel that the weather is changing rapidly, much faster than usual. And when he was in the sky, he seemed to feel that the world was afraid of something. According to his estimation, these situations should be the approach of the demon world star, which caused the weather changes caused by the change of the Earth's magnetic field. However, this time the magic world must be opened, otherwise he will be buried in the starry sky with this planet. In the original work, the destruction of the demon world star in the parallel world caused the destruction of the mysterious asteroid in this world, which can be regarded as indirectly saving this planet. So even if Nobita has no such plan, he must find a way to let that guy open the magic world. All weekend, Yuandaz stayed at home, constantly practicing magic. But the price of doing so is that the whole person gradually became weak, and he felt as if he was about to ascend to heaven. The soul-devouring monument shook his head helplessly. This is because long-term practice has caused his life to be overdrawn. So Kingayu's life was not easy. He had to bleed every day to ensure that his condition would not decline. Monday came again. The sky was so gloomy that it was difficult to see the sun, and everyone was in a bad mood. And as he came to the classroom, today's classroom was the same as before, at least on the surface. However, the very popular magical girl Mami has become a hot topic in recent days, and he is almost tired of listening to it. And Nobita saw that the girls were chatting so enthusiastically, and he couldn't help but get close to them, wanting to integrate into their circle. Shizuka, what are you talking about with them? Is it the show of the magical girl Mami? Shizuka nodded. Yes, that show is very interesting. I think you can also go and watch it. It's really interesting. Gian and Azuki, who was next to him, kept eavesdropping. He is now witness to history. After listening to the introduction of other girls, Nobita also became interested and immediately said that he would definitely go to watch it this afternoon. Gian and Azuki was relieved. Since he had decided to start watching magical girls, the things that happened afterwards were natural. After school in the afternoon, Nobita went home and immediately turned on the TV to watch the magical girl Mami. Yu and Azuki stood near his yard, using his mental power to monitor Nobita's every move in the house. This TV series about a magical girl mainly depicts the daily life of a girl who can use magic. Using magic to clean the room, cook, do homework and play baseball are all her specialties. Although Yu and Azuki has done all these things, compared with her, it seems that he is still a little worse. After all, in his subconscious, Yu and Azuki always thinks that he is very ordinary, so he still lives according to his previous habits. Sure enough, after he accidentally witnessed the wonders of magic, Nobita once again found Doraemon, who was reading a book. Doraemon, do you have any props that can help people master magic? I want this now. The blue fat man turned over and continued to read. Yes, but the magic diary last time has been destroyed by Yu and Azuki, and there are no other props. What? Nobita sat on the ground weakly, but soon found new hope. Oh, right. Yu and superpowers were also given by someone else. Why don't I go and ask him to lend them to me? As soon as he thought of it, Nobita ran out of the door and prepared to talk to Yu and Azuki about this matter. Yu and Azuki outside the door immediately panicked. Why did it suddenly involve him? But it's no wonder. Yu and Azuki often shows his superpowers in front of them. No wonder people envy him. If it was just a combat ability, it would be fine. But when Nobita saw others use superpowers to do what they dreamed of, he couldn't help it anymore. This is a bit troublesome. Yu and Azuki made a quick decision. I'd better leave home and hide first, and go see how Junfei is doing. At this time, Gian was reading a book at home. Suddenly, the sound of the door opening came from below, which scared him. What's going on? No one said they would come to my house. Is there a thief in my house again? No, I have to go down and take a look. Gian immediately entered a combat readiness state and released his mental power to check the situation. Soon he was relieved. The person who opened the door downstairs was Yu and Azuki, not those burglars. Yu and Azuki came to the second floor with ease and walked to the side of Demishin. How have you been recently? Demishin also put down the book in his hand. I'm fine here. How are you? Don't worry, except that king guy who is a little miserable. He looked at his house. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. My house is about to be renovated. Come over to play in a few days. In the past few days, he has been rushing to build fortifications in a sense of crisis. In order not to affect the progress of the project, it will take some time before he can invite people to live here. Just as they were chatting, there was a knock on the door downstairs. Excuse me, is Yuan here? Yuan and Azuki knocked his head gently. Why did Nobita know that he was here now? Wait, he didn't seem to have told everyone that he moved out, which means that he only needed to hide at home. Yuan and Azuki sighed quietly. Forget it. Forget it. Now we can only take it one step at a time. Why is Nobita here? Dekisugi stood up and walked to the front door with Yu and Azuki. Why did you come to see me suddenly? Dekisugi knew that Nobita and Yu and Azuki had agreed to make up for the lesson tomorrow, and Nobita really had no reason to come to him today. It's like this, classmate Gian, I need your help with something. Nobita came up mysteriously. Can you lend me your divine power? I also want to experience the feeling of having superpowers. Although he knew Nobita's purpose a long time ago, he had to pretend that he didn't know. No, I don't have the authority. Then Yu and Azuki looked at him with suspicion. And I don't think you will use this power to do good things. Nobita begged him for 10 minutes, but Yu and Azuki just didn't give in, leaving him helpless. TSK, what? Just wait, I will definitely surpass you in the way of magic. In the end, Nobita left angrily without getting anything, and Yuan Dazi was also ready to say goodbye to Zayashin. Then I'll leave first. Remember to take care of yourself. If you catch a cold again, no one will take you to the hospital. When Zayashin mentioned this, she touched her head helplessly. Don't say it. The current situation is all because of going to the hospital, alas. Chapter 462 Stone Statues. Deki continued to explain, after I went to the hospital last time, a few nurses who knew me called my mother, and then something happened. You can't blame me for that. You were so sick. If you didn't go to the hospital, you would die at home. Yuan Dazi said that he had no choice, and he didn't have magic to cure diseases. The two of them argued about this matter, and they didn't notice anything about what happened near Nobita's house. At this time, in the yard of Nobita's house, the entrance to the time tunnel opened silently. Nobita and Doraemon walked out of the exit in a panic, ready to stop them from using the time machine now. Then Nobita looked at the blue fat man beside him. Doraemon, what time is it now? How long do we have before we can use the phone booth? Don't worry, I came back early on purpose. Now it's still 10 hours before we can use the phone booth. Doraemon solemnly assured him that there was definitely plenty of time left for them, and told him not to worry about the time issue. At this moment, an ominous breath suddenly came from behind, making Nobita's hair stand on end. Doraemon knew who was behind him without even looking. No way. Could it be that Medusa hasn't given up and has been chasing here? So Nobita and Doraemon, who had a strong desire to survive, made a prompt decision, put on their own bamboo dragonflies, and prepared to continue their escape journey. The two pressed the switch of the bamboo dragonfly at the same time, followed by a run up and take off. The whole process was as smooth as flowing water. But as soon as they took off, they fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. Oh no, I actually forgot that the bamboo dragonfly has run out of power because of the long flight. The two stood up immediately and planned to change a means of transportation for their own safety. At this moment, a woman in white with snake-like hair came out of the time tunnel. The temperature around them dropped sharply, and even the air gradually solidified. You two, don't run anymore. Welcome the judgment from us demons. Nobita looked around and saw a broom standing in the corner. After a delay of just a few tenths of a second, Nobita suddenly had another plan for escape. Idiot, who would listen to you? Nobita got strength from nowhere and pulled Doraemon up to ride on the broom. Golden call away. Nobita chanted the universal spell in the magic world, and the broom instantly soared into the sky. Doraemon held the broom tightly from behind. Nobita, when did you learn to ride a flying broom? I haven't learned it either. Nobita desperately controlled the magic broom, but if we don't fly now, we'll be dead. Facts have proved that when people are in desperate situations, their own potential will be fully unleashed, and even Nobita has learned to ride a broom. Humph, a trifle. Medusa smiled disdainfully. Watch me. Dark magic, the power of the gargoyle. The dark purple light gathered in her hands, and after reaching its peak, it burst out in an instant. The purple light covered half of the sky. In such a range, Nobita and Doraemon could not avoid it at all. After being illuminated by the purple light, the bodies of the two people quickly petrified and turned into two lifelike stone sculptures. Doraemon, who was sitting in the back, fell down first, while Nobita was carried by the already activated magic broom and flew away. Medusa nodded with great satisfaction. In this way, her mission was completed. Then she turned around and flew to the place where she had just come from, returning to their demon world through the time and space tunnel. The stone statue of Doraemon fell from the sky and landed right above Nobita's room. Doraemon, who was reading a book below, suddenly heard something smashing the ceiling. He jumped up in fright, grabbed the ground with his 4 feet, and began to get angry. However, when he saw clearly what fell, he slowly let down his guard and began to carefully examine the stone statue. What is this? Why did it fall from the sky? And why does it look like me? The blue fat man walked around the stone statue on all fours for several circles. He wanted to find some clues from it. Dora-chan, what are you doing up there? The voice and footsteps of her mother came from below. No. The blue fat man immediately became alert. If my mother sees this scene, I'm dead. Doraemon didn't hesitate too much and quickly stuffed the stone statue into his pocket and took out the restoration light from it to restore the roof. When the roof was repaired, her mother just pushed the door in and saw that the room was still tidy without any big mess. It's good that nothing happened. Don't mess up this room. It's hard to clean. After looking at it for a few times, she didn't find anything unusual, so she turned and left the room. Fortunately, I'm smart. Otherwise, if my mother saw the hole in the ceiling, the problem would be serious. Although he could repair the ceiling, he would most likely be scolded by his mother. After all, who would believe that a stone statue of Doraemon would suddenly fall from the sky? The matter was solved, and Doraemon finally breathed a sigh of relief, and then took out the stone statue and put it in front of him to look at it carefully. This thing is made just like the real thing. Who can observe me so carefully? Doraemon thought about it, and then suddenly blushed. Could it be that the person who likes me did it? It's really thoughtful. While he was crazy about narcissism, Nobita also came back from outside. Doraemon, there is really no way. Why is there a stone statue here? When entering the room, it is difficult for anyone to ignore the stone statue that is placed in front of Doraemon and is exactly the same as him. Really? Do you love yourself so much now that you made a stone statue for yourself? Stop it, Nobita, this thing just fell from the sky and I almost got scolded by my mother. The blue fat man explained to Nobita with a serious face, but no matter what, Nobita just couldn't listen. So the two started their daily quarrel again, and they were about to fight in the room. Excuse me, is anyone there? Shizuka's voice suddenly came from below, which lifted their spirits. Nobita immediately put aside the quarrel with Doraemon and rushed to the first floor. Of course there are people. Seeing Nobita coming out, Shizuka hurriedly said, "Go to the open space quickly. Fat Tiger and Sunia are bullying your statue." What? Nobita pointed to his face. "You said they are bullying my statue? How can I have that?" At the end, Nobita suddenly remembered the statue of Doraemon next to him and immediately changed his words. "I know. I'll go over and take a look now." Then he and Doraemon looked at each other and saw disbelief in each other's eyes and rushed to the open space together. "Doraemon, your statue, couldn't it really fall from the sky? I've said it many times. I don't have that thing at all. How could someone collect his own statue?" Nobita also nodded. "That's right. If that's the case, I feel like I'm dead." The two came all the way to the open space. At this time Fat Tiger and Sunia were writing and drawing on Nobita's statue, having a lot of fun. Chapter 461 Urgency. Seeing Nobita coming, Fat Tiger immediately yelled at him. "Nobita, how can you throw such dangerous things around?" Sunia nodded. "Yes, we were playing under the tree just now, and this thing almost hit us. Do you know what would happen if it hit us?" Hearing this, Nobita quickly apologized. "I'm really sorry. I'll move this thing away right now." The two ran to the side of Nobita's stone statue, picked it up, and started running towards home. After placing the stone statue in Nobita's room, he sighed helplessly. It really causes trouble for people. Fat Blue also agreed. "Yes, who is playing a prank, and we have to clean up the mess." After complaining for a while, they worked together again and placed the two stone statues at the door of the storage warehouse. "Okay, let's put it here." Nobita clapped his hands with satisfaction. "Sell them when we collect scrap next time." Gian and Azzy had also returned home at this time, and King Guy was still being ruthlessly trained by the soul-devouring monument. Yu and Azzy didn't plan to care about this. Now he didn't know when the great adventure in the demon world would start, so improving his strength was the most important thing. Then he habitually released his mental power and began to monitor Nobita's every move next to him. At this moment, he also discovered the sculpture at the door of the other party's warehouse. His heart suddenly tightened. When did this thing appear? So the plot of this story has already begun. It seems that I have missed something. After confirming that the two guys still had vital signs, Yu and Azzy didn't care about the two stone statues anymore, but walked towards King Guy who was still practicing. "Old man, he doesn't need to practice physical skills these 2 days. Start teaching him the use of demon power." Hearing this, the two turned their heads and looked at him in surprise. They didn't expect that he would suddenly intervene in this matter. "Why? The spirit of the soul-devouring monument had a look of dissatisfaction in its eyes. Why do you want to interfere with my training schedule? It's very simple. The great adventure in the demon world has begun. I think it is more useful to practice demon power than physical skills now. After the old man pondered for a few seconds, he looked at Kingayu. Let's go. I'll teach you some spells. Huh? Really? Kingayu was immediately happy and followed the old man into the house to start the special training of demon skills. Before entering the door, Kingayu did not forget to wave and thank Yu and Daisuke, and then disappeared from his sight. Originally, according to the old man's plan, he wanted to wait until his demon power became stronger before letting him train these spells. In this way, his foundation would be more solid and the difficulty of learning spells would be greatly reduced. But since the war is about to start, there is no problem in teaching him in advance. Increasing the ability to save his life is the most important thing. Yu and Daisuke does not plan to practice anymore. He must now adjust and restore his body. Although he does not know why his body always feels empty, if he still feels like this during the battle, he may make a fatal mistake. So Yu and Daisuke put on his cloak and came to the top of the cloud again and began to carefully comprehend the laws of this star. Because of the proximity of the demon realm star, compared with the past, the laws of the stars, sky, temperature, element, etc. here are all partially exposed, which is very convenient for comprehending. Since you don't plan to cultivate magic power, it is also a good choice to take this opportunity to comprehend the laws. By the way, take out the Archangel's staff and the Soul Crystal Ball and put them aside, taking this opportunity to enhance your relationship. At this time, the Archangel's staff is still absorbing power endlessly, and no one knows where its capacity limit is. However, seeing that it absorbs faster and faster, it should still be a long way from its upper limit. What Yu and Daisuke is more curious about is how this staff was damaged in the first place. What kind of battle can destroy this staff? It has absorbed the power of nature for more than half a month, and there is still no sign of saturation. This gem is definitely the top. Moreover, the quality of the magic metal below is also obviously much higher than the various high-level magic metal alloys of his dark blade, and it is not something that can be easily obtained. Similarly, the person who could master it in ancient times was definitely not a good person. However, the supreme weapon made of these two things was still beaten to lose its origin. What happened to it? After wondering for a while, Yu and Daisuke decisively put this question behind him and began to comprehend the law. Anyway, the old man will tell him these things sooner or later, so there is no need to rush. Night fell quickly. Tonight, the soul-devouring monument personally cooked dinner for them. Of course, the staple food is still the segmented insects used to replenish ki and blood, otherwise these guys can't eat enough. Kingayu also received the order and quietly added ingredients to Yu and Daisuke's bowl, making him exhausted. He has to bleed almost every meal these days. He is still a child. How can he bear such a loss? Fortunately, he doesn't need to practice physical skills recently, otherwise if this continues, he feels that he will die first at the hands of his companions. Not long after, Yu and Daisuke returned home on time. At this time, it was already drizzling outside, and the temperature began to drop. The arrival of the demon world star caused the magnetic field to become disordered, and the disaster it brought was far from what it seemed. Many creatures nearby felt the coming of the disaster, and began to move out from here to find a new home. But the entire planet was facing destruction. How could they escape? By moving a little distance? Yu and Daisuke walked to the side of the seat, picked up the food, and walked to the living room, and turned on the TV at the same time. Now if he didn't watch the TV news while eating, Yu and Daisuke always felt that there would be a space in his heart. According to reports, abnormal weather has occurred throughout the world, with heavy rains and typhoons, causing countless economic losses and casualties. After the world news was over, it was the local news in Japan, and the characters on TV were familiar to him. This week, Tokyo has seen the 80th victim, and the death is similar to the previous 79, and it is speculated that it was the same person who did it. The news host flipped the manuscript and continued to read, and there has been new progress in the serial vicious murders during this period. The surveillance camera captured part of the suspect's appearance. The picture on the TV turned, and it was obvious that an elderly man was dragging a thing that looked like a human. The person he is dragging is the victim found this time, so we are almost certain that the old man on the surveillance screen is the murderer of this incident. Based on facial comparison, we have found out the identity of the murderer. It can be basically confirmed that the old man is the swordmaster Miyamoto Yoruchi. Hearing this, Yu and Dazi frowned even more tightly. Has the criminal suspect been identified now? And after knowing the identity of the murderer, the clouds in his heart became heavier. It turned out to be his enemy. Yu and Dazi ruined his reputation, so when he becomes stronger, the first person to come to him will definitely be Yu and Dazi. It seems that I'm not strong enough. There are so many people chasing me behind me. I can't stop. Putting down his rice bowl, Yu and Dazi gave up his rest plan and walked into the practice room again. Chapter 462 Rainy Night. Late at night, a ray of moonlight silently sprinkled on the stone statue that had been placed in the yard. After being lifted by the magic cast by Medusa, the two also regained their ability to move and looked at each other with joy. That's great. I didn't expect that. Even after returning to the original world, the moonlight's restraining effect on demon magic is still there. We have to hurry over. Nobita and Doraemon immediately rushed to the door. Doraemon had already taken out the piercing ring and put it on the door on the way. The two walked into the house together. Quick, we must stop them from using the telephone booth, otherwise our future will be really troublesome. Doraemon said from behind, while putting the piercing ring into his pocket, with an expression on his face that looked extremely anxious. But at this moment, the moon in the sky was suddenly covered by dark clouds, and the moonlight effect on the two was lifted. Just as they were about to return to the second floor, they suddenly found that their feet could not move. What's going on? The two looked down at their feet and found that their feet had turned into stone statues. Doraemon was stunned for a while and said hesitantly, could it be that the moonlight is blocked? What luck. Although they guessed the truth, neither of them wanted to admit it, and they were powerless to save it. They could only watch themselves turn into stone statues. Upstairs, Nobita, who has always been good at sleeping, tossed and turned tonight and couldn't fall asleep. He was very uncomfortable. Because he was really afraid of thunder, there was a certain probability that he would suffer from insomnia on thunderstorm nights. And tonight was even more sad. Not only was the temperature extremely low, but there were also constant thunder and lightning. In addition, there were strange noises coming from downstairs, which made Nobita, who couldn't sleep, even worse. So Nobita finally couldn't bear it anymore, stood up and knocked on Doraemon's closet. Doraemon, can you accompany me downstairs to see what's going on? The blue fat man pushed open the closet in a half-asleep state, and his mechanical eyes kept flashing. What are you doing? It's so late, and you're still not sleeping. Are you afraid that you are a fake Nobita? Stop talking nonsense, follow me. Nobita, who was cheesed, couldn't help but drag Doraemon off the bed. After being dragged downstairs by Nobita, the two soon noticed a slight noise coming from the back door of the kitchen. Doraemon had to force himself to cheer up and slowly approach the back door with Nobita, ready to find out what was going on. The two began to approach slowly, but Nobita began to shrink back. Doraemon, you stand in front. I'm a little scared now. TSK, there's really nothing I can do about you. The blue fat man stood in front of Nobita, and the two moved forward together. When they stood in front of the back door with flashlights, they found that they just forgot to close the back door, and there was nothing strange at all. Nobita, you really worry too much. Doraemon breathed a sigh of relief, walked forward and closed the door. Let's go. Go to bed. Hearing the strange noise stop, Nobita also relaxed. How should I know that this would happen? But it's good that there is no thief. The two walked to the stairs, talking and laughing. At this moment, Nobita and Doraemon's eyes seemed to accidentally see something standing at the door. The two stopped and looked at each other. Did you see anything at the door just now? Seeing that the other party asked this question at the same time, there was no need to answer. The answer was already very clear. They turned their heads mechanically, but the door was pitch black and nothing could be seen. What should we do? How about we go over and take a look? The blue fat man asked Nobita tentatively, and he answered decisively, forget it, if we see something scary in the past. When they said this, they shuddered at the same time. Just thinking about this situation was too scary. Just when they were about to turn around and leave and go back upstairs to sleep, a lightning bolt suddenly struck from the sky. The bright light instantly illuminated the entire corridor. Whether they were willing to accept it or not, the scene at the door was already in front of them. Ah! A shrill scream crossed the night sky, waking up the parents who were sleeping in the living room. So the two good guys got up and angrily opened the movable door. What's going on? You two are not sleeping in the middle of the night. Nobita pointed at the door with a trembling hand. Over there, the two stone statues this afternoon are moving. Their parents immediately looked at the door. There were only two ordinary stone statues there, nothing scary. But two stone statues can scare them like this. How fragile must the psychology of these two children be? You two are picking up things outside again. Why don't you clean them up for me? Really, you are not sleeping in the middle of the night. Dad and Mom turned their heads back angrily. It was thundering tonight. They finally fell asleep and were woken up by these two unlucky children. Nobita and Doraemon finally came to their senses at this time. There were only two stone statues at the door. There was really nothing to be afraid of. What? It turned out to be a false alarm. Nobita walked to the stone statues with some disappointment and began to complain. When he came back to his senses from this terrifying atmosphere, this ordinary thing was really not that scary. But Doraemon still felt a little strange. No matter what, it's still a little strange. The movements of the stone statue seemed to have changed a little. The two stone statues, which originally looked scared, now became extremely ferocious and angry, with despair and unwillingness in their expressions. Moreover, compared with the afternoon, their postures have also changed a lot, and it is completely impossible to tell that they are the same stone statues. If it weren't for the strokes left by Fat Tiger and Sunia on the face of Nobita's stone statue, they almost thought it was another group of stone statues. Doraemon put the two stone statues into his pocket. Forget it, let's go to bed quickly. Nobita also nodded. Now the sound of rain outside seemed to be a little smaller, and the lightning was no longer frequent. He could finally go to bed. But when he lay down, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration, and he seemed to have thought of something fun. By the way, if we use the telephone booth to create a magical world, then, before he finished speaking, Doraemon suddenly screamed in pain in the closet. Ah, my stomach hurts. Did I get sick from the 30 dorayaki I ate today? Nobita quickly ran over and opened the door of the closet. Doraemon inside was rolling around. No, I have to go to the future world now. I haven't had a physical examination for a long time. Maybe there is something wrong with my body. As he spoke, the blue fat man struggled to run to the drawer, opened the drawer with force, and jumped in. It seems that Doraemon's health is really not very good recently, and he even caused such a thing. Nobita touched his chin and began to think about whether he should borrow props from Doraemon to play. The blue fat man sat on the time machine. The time machine in front of him had been transformed into the Dorayaki logo in order to prevent Nobita from using the time machine indiscriminately like last time. But Doraemon, who is a fan of Dorayaki, pressed a few keys with ease, and the time machine moved forward to the preset time. In the future world, Shizuka was playing chess with Doraemon, and Shizuka was about to lose. It's really abominable. It's just a childlike robot, but it dares to be so arrogant. Shizuka bit his finger and began to think about how he should play chess to turn defeat into victory. Doraemon drank a sip of tea slowly. With Shizuka's ability, he could only bully her brother. After all, Doraemon had a small problem when it left the factory and lost a screw, so the skill was obviously not as good as Doraemon. Just when the two of them began to stalemate, a time tunnel suddenly appeared above their heads, scaring them. What's going on? The two of them stood up immediately. This was already an illegal invasion of a private house. Chapter 463 times have changed. Because under normal circumstances, visitors will not come here directly through the time tunnel, unless the other party is a time criminal. If they are familiar with someone, they will generally go through the time tunnel entrance set up by their family, which is the same as when you visit someone through the front door. So this time someone came through the window. It is likely an emergency, so they have to be alert. Just when they were curious, the big blue head suddenly fell from the sky, and the floor shook a few times. and the chess pieces of Shizuka and Doraemon also collapsed a lot because of the vibration, and it seemed that they could not continue. Doraemon stretched out his hand helplessly. Help me. My stomach seems to not hurt anymore. Just after he finished speaking, he tried to touch his stomach, and sure enough, the pain in his stomach had disappeared. At this time, Nobita and Doraemon, who were making a fuss inside, found tragically that the effect of the moonlight lamp on their bodies seemed to have disappeared. What should I do? They don't seem to have discovered our existence yet. Are we going to be like this forever? Nobita glanced at Doraemon, who was turning into stone, and finally closed his eyes helplessly. It's over. The moonlight lamp is too far away. They can't touch it after being petrified. When they are awakened next time, the world may have been destroyed by the devil. After Doraemon found that his stomach didn't hurt anymore, he immediately regretted it and prepared to jump to the entrance of the time tunnel and leave this place quickly. For some reason, he still hated hospitals. If it wasn't for this emergency, he wouldn't want to go back to the future. But Shizuka and Doraemon looked at each other and got the same conclusion from each other's eyes. No, you must go for a full body maintenance. Shizuka immediately walked to his side and grabbed Doraemon's hand. Otherwise, there may be problems. Doraemon opened their maintenance chamber and prepared to give her brother a full body check. I don't want it. The blue fat man immediately began to struggle frantically. He hated hospitals the most, even medical equipment. Shizuka grabbed his hand from behind him and tried to drag Doraemon to the maintenance chamber. But even if the blue fat man didn't open the safety protocol, he was still very strong, and the two began to stalemate. But it was obvious that Doraemon was stronger than Shizuka, and he began to move forward into the time tunnel. Feeling that he was not as strong as him, Shizuka had to shout, "Doraemon, come and help me. I'll be there soon." Doraemon opened the lid of the maintenance chamber and then joined the battle and began to drag Doraemon. Nobita was in a daze in his room. He was still struggling whether he should ask Doraemon for help. From his personal feelings, he actually didn't want to bother Doraemon at this special time. After all, the other party looked sick. But there was always a voice in his heart telling him that he wanted to learn magic and wanted to experience this magical power. In the end, Nobita sat up suddenly. Okay, it seems that I can only bother him this time. At this time, Doraemon and the future could not resist the combined strength of the two and was about to be stuffed into the maintenance chamber. But at this moment, he seemed to feel someone calling him. What's going on? Did Nobita have something to talk to me about? Oh, he wanted to say something just now. Thinking of this, Doraemon didn't know where he got the strength from and broke free from the two people's grip. Sorry, I suddenly remembered that Nobita still had something to talk to me about. See you next time. The blue fat man made a naughty face in the air and then his body sank into the time tunnel, leaving Shizuka and Doraemon helpless. Fortunately, I ran fast. Doraemon sat in the time machine and finally breathed a sigh of relief. It would be really troublesome if those two guys teamed up to mess with him. They almost stuffed him into the maintenance compartment. Then Doraemon shook his head and forgot about these things. Doraemon set the time and started to rush to Nobita's house. At this time, Nobita made up his mind and sat on the bed quietly waiting for Doraemon's arrival. He knew that Doraemon would never let him down. Not long after, his drawer was opened again and the familiar blue head popped out. Nobita, I'm back. Great, you're finally back. Nobita sat up in surprise. I've been waiting for you here for a long time. I need your help with something. Doraemon patted his chest without hesitation. Tell me, I will help you, as long as I can. Then take out the telephone booth. We can use that prop to create a magical world. Hearing this, Doraemon also became excited. No problem. I also want to try that so-called magic. As a robot on the technology side, Doraemon is actually very curious. What would it be like if magic became the mainstream of the world? As he spoke, he took out a red portable telephone booth and put it heavily on the ground. Then I'll go and try it. Nobita slowly walked into the telephone booth and Doraemon also looked at him with a smile. He picked up the receiver and put it to his ear and said to the receiver, if this world becomes a magical world, what will it be like? As soon as he finished speaking, if the fan-shaped paper on the telephone booth flipped over, the blue reality would turn into a red parallel world. With the familiar ringing of the phone, the world began to change. At this moment, many people noticed it. The first was the blue fat man and Nobita in Doraemon's pocket. They heard the familiar ringing. Sure enough, the past cannot be changed. They sighed slightly, knowing that they had failed. The next to feel it were Yu and Dazi and King Gaiu, who lived next door to their house. Originally, Yu and Dazi was already in a deep sleep, but the change in the world rules woke him up. So they have already started. It seems that this time the plot is coming faster than I thought. Feeling the rapidly changing world rules, Yu and Dazi couldn't help but feel happy. Now he is very happy, because the natural force around him is more than twice as strong as before. And most importantly, this growth trend has not stopped, and the energy concentration is still rising. Old man, why did the change in the world this time cause the concentration of natural forces to increase so much? The old man pondered in his sea of consciousness for a while before he said, maybe this is because the world feels threatened. Threat? He instantly became interested. What is it that can threaten this world? It's very simple. Do you remember the world of Journey to the West last time? I said that the worlds will devour each other, and the weak world cannot escape being devoured by the fragments of other worlds. Then according to what you said, is the demon realm star that is coming now more powerful than the current world? Yu and Dazi also felt a little troubled. In this case, the final boss of this adventure will also become very powerful, and he still doesn't know whether he can directly pinch the opponent's heart like in the original book. If it is just to throw the silver mark into the heart, then the whole battle process is actually quite simple. Chapter 464, The Origin of the World. Hearing his question, the soul-devouring monument once again pondered for a while. I have read your memory. This battle should be the same as the original. What? Yu and Dazi instantly became alert. You said, I only need to get that set of silver darts, and basically declare victory? That's right. The old man answered him very confidently this time, without any hesitation. However, this decisiveness made Yu and Dazi feel a little uneasy. What if this guy cheated him? Why are you so sure? Do you have any evidence? Tell me now. Hearing this, the soul-devouring monument was silent for a while, and began to think about whether these things could be explained to him now. In the end, he made up his mind that these things could be explained to him. Anyway, it did not involve the Holy War for the time being. As long as he didn't know about this, he would be safe for the time being, and would not be targeted by those people. It's okay to tell you. I said before that the world we live in is not complete. It's just a fragment of the world. Yu and Dazi nodded. Yes, you said that. These fragments of the world will devour each other, gradually grow stronger, and make themselves complete. He still remembered this very clearly. After all, he was very curious about these things, and wanted to know the reasons. Old Man Ling asked the question again. Have you ever thought about why these worlds evolved to be the same as the Doraemon world you know? Do you think this is really what you call the second dimension? If it is really the second dimension, why are there so many things that are different from the original? After hearing this, Yu and Dazi suddenly didn't know how to answer. He really hadn't thought about the reasons for these things. Listen carefully, this is called willpower. The expectations that humans have for a certain thing are condensed together, which is called willpower. The fragments of these worlds are incomplete, so they need to absorb a lot of energy to replenish. After the incident in the real world, the spiritual energy of the real world began to revive, and the psychics began to awaken. Similarly, the revival of spiritual energy also revitalized the nearby fragments of the world that had lost their vitality, causing these dead fragments to once again begin to absorb willpower and evolve. In addition, the number of people who like anime in the two-dimensional world in the main world is gradually increasing. So many worlds have absorbed willpower, and this place has gradually evolved into the two-dimensional world you know. There are also some people who accidentally traveled through it and became the travelers you know, and you became a traveler. As for the fragments of this world, it absorbed a lot of mixed willpower, but the Doraemon world is the mainstream. So this world is based on the story of Doraemon, but you should also find that there are many people from other worlds in it. And he immediately remembered the person who looked like Conan he had met before, as well as Sasuke and Naruto, and the inexplicable appearance of the Sharingan. Then will I have a chance to visit other worlds in the future? I think it would be nice to travel through them a few more times. Unfortunately, this is unlikely to happen because it requires a lot of energy. Incomplete world fragments are closed, except when they devour each other. I tried my best to send a soul here, let alone you. Well, this place is not bad. Yu and Daisy had to give up his idea and stay here peacefully. And there are requirements for the world fragments to devour each other. That is, the same type of willpower must dominate. In other words, the settings here will basically follow the original work, but the strength of the characters and the final plot direction are uncertain. Yu and Daisy nodded, and some of the problems with the strength of the final boss encountered before were also clear. By the way, what exactly is that thing you just mentioned? Can you tell me about it? Soul Devouring Monument thought about the question just now, a little uncertain. Are you talking about the thing that caused the spiritual energy in the real world to revive? Yu and Daisy nodded. Yes, I would like to know the origin of these things. You should have heard about this matter. That is, the former Speed Alliance drilled more than 10,000 meters underground. They did drill to the gate of hell and released some monsters that were supposed to sleep until the end of the world. Of course, a large amount of spiritual energy was also released at the same time, and the spiritual power of the world began to revive. You didn't feel it before. It should be that the concentration of spiritual energy was too low, but it is about to reach the critical point. Oh, I see. You are really straightforward today. Knowing the reason for the matter, Yu and Daisy was ready to continue sleeping. Anyway, for now, it is safe before encountering the devil. Outside this fragment of the world, in the endless void, a ruined palace floats quietly. On the ancient throne, a figure opened his eyes. What's going on? Those worlds should have been abandoned. When he woke up, the fire on the wall also burned at this moment, illuminating this vicissitudes of life. His eyes looked at the small world where Doraemon was, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. This world has lost its vitality since the Holy War. What is the reason? Algalon, come and report to me. He began to call the name of his subordinates, but received no response. After waiting for a while, he stretched out his hand and brought out a light curtain, ready to check the situation of the observer. This is the prop God Realm directory they use internally, which can contact any god serving in the God Realm. Of course, the premise of using it is that your status must be higher than theirs, so that you can forcibly observe the other party's situation. A few seconds later, he waved his hand to close the God Realm directory. Damn it, even the God Realm observer has been killed. Who did it? Standing there thinking for a while, he flipped through the God Realm directory again. Easton, Manison, you two go investigate the situation. At this moment, a cluster of flames suddenly spoke. Master, is it really okay for you to do this? After all, they are not gods of our pantheon. He didn't even turn his head. Don't worry, these two people were relatively likely injured in the war, so it's most appropriate to let them go. And they have no right to refuse. Then he sat on the throne again and continued to sleep to repair the wounds he left in the last battle. The two sleeping gods slowly woke up. They had just received orders from the high-level gods and had to execute them. That guy actually wants us to investigate that world fragment, but hasn't it been abandoned long ago? And it's sealed. If we force our way in, it will take a lot longer to go back and forth. Plus he has old injuries. Could he be trying to harm us? Manison looked at Easton and began to ask for his opinion. It is said that the fragment has awakened for unknown reasons, and the concentration of spiritual energy seems to be quite high, which can wake him up. From this point alone, it is indeed necessary to investigate it now. And his godhood is higher than ours. We can't refuse. Walking out of the sleeping place, Easton, who is 2.5 meters tall, moved his body and began to adapt gradually. It has been hundreds of years since he moved, and he feels that his body is about to rust, and he needs to do some warm-up exercises first. And Manison looks like an old man, about 1.6 meters tall, wearing a light blue cloak. How is it? Are you sure about this operation? Manison looked at Easton. Are you okay? Easton nodded. Don't worry, it's not a big problem. It's just that the energy left by those guys is hard to expel. Then he began to walk towards the gate of the temple. However, the difficulty of this mission is not that great, but it takes a long time to get there, so let's set off quickly. Chapter 465. The Man Who Can't Ride a Broomstick. The next morning, Yu and Daisy got up early. Now this world is a magic world. When technology is called superstition and magic becomes orthodoxy, what will the whole world become? At this time, the sun had just risen, and the sky was pale, and some people had already gone out to work. Yu and Daisy opened the window, and saw people riding brooms outside, starting to fly to their destinations. Ah, this world seems not bad. He stood by the bed, and watched them mobilize the power of nature freely. The people here are born with souls connected to nature, and they can use this channel to change reality with their strong will. Of course, it is really difficult to achieve great success in this complete system without power cultivation. It is estimated that only a very small number of people in the world can access this part of the secrets, and they are the actual rulers of this world. Looking at the brooms and magic carpets coming and going outside, he suddenly thought, then are there no taxis here? If basically everyone can fly, then what are those who used to drive taxis doing? It's a pity that he doesn't know anyone who drives a taxi, otherwise he must ask about this matter clearly. I need to sleep a little longer. King Gaiu was forcibly lifted up from the bed by the old man, who was about to teach him magic. Gian and Daisy just smiled at this, and then planned to go downstairs to make some breakfast. However, when he walked into the kitchen, he was immediately in trouble. This stove couldn't be turned on. The stove, which was originally fully automatic, was changed to manual. Gian and Daisy said that he was not used to it, and it was not as good as the stove on the high-tech side. TSK, what a crappy thing. He cursed while using magic to make breakfast for 2 people. It was even more difficult for Chumushin, because he was not affected by the telephone booth now, and his ability was also mental power, so he couldn't make a fire. There was no way. He had to release his mental power, and began to detect how the people around him made breakfast. Several housewives nearby were cooking, and Zyashin took the opportunity to record their mental fluctuations when using fire, and learned and applied it. After a while, a flash of lightning flashed across his hand, and the eggs and bacon in the pot exuded the aroma of frying. Using this newly learned little magic, he suddenly found that this thing was much more useful than an ordinary stove fire. The firepower can be controlled accurately to every degree, and the consumption of mental power is very low. If he keeps making fire like this, he will have no problem using it for 4 or 5 hours in a row. Of course, if this thing is used in battle, it is not very practical. After all, in battle, most of the time it is an explosion, who will slowly grind with you. Moreover, the temperature of this flame also has a limit, and it poses almost no threat to high-level enemies like Xianyu and Daisuke. For example, if he uses this fire to roast Yu and Daisuke now, maybe he can't even roast the magic barrier that naturally forms on his body surface. At that time, he will backhand a big fireball and send you directly to meet Jesus. What temper can you still have? At this time, Nobita in the house also found that this world has really become a magic world, but he also understood that he really didn't know anything. Although the whole world knows magic, it can only be used after studying. It's like a person who was originally a magic master suddenly traveled to the world of science. He still can't make machinery without learning. So when Nobita came here, he was still a magic novice and needed to spend time studying magic. Nobita, come down to eat. The mother's voice came from below, pulling the two of them back from the fantasy world. The blue fat man looked at Nobita. Why don't we change back? Anyway, you still don't know magic. Who knew that? He shook his head stubbornly. I won't do it. Come here, at least I have to take a good look. The two of them came to the restaurant while talking, and the mother was using magic to make their breakfast. She was frying bacon and eating milk in her hands, and on the table in front of Nobita, the vegetable salad was constantly stirring automatically. From this point, it can be seen that every housewife's ability to do 2 things at the same time and do housework is full, and with magic, their abilities have made a qualitative leap. Not long after, the heated milk automatically flew to the dining table for the two, and bacon and bread also fell into their mouths. Okay, hurry up and eat. If you are late for class again, I will never let you go. Nobita bit off a piece of bread fiercely. How can I be late? If I ride the flying magic carpet, won't I be there soon? He said it as if it was a matter of course. Everyone outside was riding the flying magic carpet, so why couldn't I send him off when he went to school? Are you kidding? Nobita's mother didn't even turn her head. Can our family afford such expensive things? And you still can't even ride a broom. When will you learn to ride a broom? I can't save my worries. The teacher complains to me about your homework all day long. Why can't you be attentive when practicing? Before his mother's long lecture, Nobita immediately swallowed his bread. I'm going to school. Doraemon also imitated him and quickly left the table, making his mother laugh and cry. These two children, I really don't know when they will grow up. After complaining about them casually, the mother turned around and continued to be busy with today's housework. For some reason, she was in a very good mood today, and it seemed that doing housework was much easier than before. Nobita carried his school bag and walked out the door. Then he saw Gian Dazi walking out of the house next door with him. Isn't that Gian? Why does he live there? Nobita and the other two immediately noticed this abnormality, so they walked up to him and asked him, Gian, why did you move here? Aren't you living with Dekisugi? Gian Dazi, who had just settled Kingayu, was in a good mood and responded with a smile, because I bought this house. Huh. They were both shocked by this sentence. You are a kid. Where did you get the money to buy a house? TSK, none of your business. Gian Dazi turned around and prepared to leave. By the way, don't forget that you still owe me 200,000. Speaking of this, Nobita suddenly became depressed. He really forgot about it completely. But he soon cheered up. By the way, Gian classmate, how come you can walk to school? His eyes rolled, and he suddenly said, could it be you also can't ride a flying broom like me? This sentence really touched his sore spot, because Gian Dazi really can't ride a flying broom at present. After all, his magic is different from here, so he really doesn't know how to do things that are common here. Seeing that he was silent, Nobita was very happy, because Gian Dazi was actually on an equal footing with him. A famous good student over there, a messenger chosen by the sun god, can't even ride a broom here. Ha, so you are the same Gian classmate. Why don't we walk to school together? As he said, Nobita poked Gian Dazi with his elbow triumphantly, and his expression gradually became annoying. Seeing him so arrogant, Gian Dazi's face gradually showed a smile. Since you have mercilessly exposed my scars, let me see how I will deal with you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466 Magic School. When Nobita continued to show off, Gian Dazi suddenly strangled Nobita's neck. Come, let's talk about a deal. He took out a piece of money written on it from his cloak. Do you still recognize this thing now? Nobita nodded stiffly. Although he didn't know what Gian Dazi wanted to do, his intuition told him that it was definitely not a good thing. Doraemon had already sensed something was wrong and stepped back a few steps to avoid implicating him later. As you said, I can't ride a magic broom. But I need a mount to go to school now, otherwise I won't be worthy of my status. Since you are so enthusiastic, why not let you do it for me? I'll ask for a high price. Gian Dazi didn't give Nobita a chance to refute him, or rather, Nobita himself didn't have the right to refute Gian Dazi now. Then Gian Dazi stretched out his hand and patted Nobita's neck, and soul interference acted on him. Nobita only felt his body stiffen, and then his body was out of his control. Nobita stretched his hands to both sides, and stood straight, instantly turning into a human cross. Then he clapped his hands again, and Nobita suddenly floated up, landing at the feet of Gian Dazi, and turned into a Nobita brand airship. Gian Dazi stood on it, and stomped his feet lightly. Pippy shrimp, let's go. After this trip, we will write it off. If we are late, our work will be in vain. As soon as the voice fell, Nobita's body slowly rose into the air, and joined the flow of people going to work and school above. Now Nobita has to work. He doesn't want to waste the 200,000. If this money is still owed to Gian Dazi, God knows what he will come up with in the future. So, Gian Dazi took his golden legendary mount, Pippy Shrimp Nobita form, and began to move towards the school. However, because Gian Dazi created an illusion, there were not many people who could see Nobita. So for now, it was not a particularly embarrassing thing, although Nobita didn't know. In addition, Yu and Dazi deliberately used magic to create several air currents, which bounce the brooms and magic carpets in the sky. In summary, no one is paying attention to this place now, and the psychological pressure on the two of them is much less. In fact, riding on Nobita is also a kind of psychological torture for Yu and Dazi, and he always feels that it is not in line with morality. But Nobita's behavior just now really deserves a beating, and now he is asked to get off Nobita, and he feels very upset in his heart. Taking a step back, the more he thinks about it, the angrier he gets. So in order to take all his thoughts into consideration, he tried to come up with this compromise. I was wondering why there is a strange air current here, and it turns out to be you. But how did you make it like this? When Yu and Dazi was moving forward, the voice of Dekisugi suddenly came from the sky, which scared him. Linkei, why did you get up there? And, your broom, what's the matter? Because Yu and Dazi used his mental power to communicate with him, Nobita didn't hear their answers at all. Just now I met some people riding brooms, so I quietly learned a few tricks, and now I can do it. Zyadishin pointed at Nobita below and said, by the way, why are you standing on him? Come on down. Okay. Yu and Dazi also had an excuse to leave. He parked the Nobita airship that had just been in service for a few minutes on the side of the road, and handed the 200,000 yuan paper money to Nobita. Here, your work for today is over. This is the reward we agreed on in advance. Nobita took the paper money, and the numbers on it disappeared in an instant, making him feel relieved. The debt he owed, when he was young and frivolous, was finally paid off at this moment. It was a coincidence that he had used this piece of paper to make Yu and Dazi work like a slave for him before, and in the blink of an eye, he was working like a slave for Yu and Dazi. It was really a good turn of events. Zyadishin used his mental power to transmit a set of magic to Yu and Dazi. Here, this is the method I learned. You can try it. Yu and Dazi shook his head. Forget it. I'll use my own method this time. As soon as the voice fell, a circle of spells appeared around Yu and Dazi. This was the third level magic flying technique he learned some time ago. Because he just felt that it was too crowded up there, and it was not too far from the school, so it would be no problem to walk there. But since there were already people going with him, there was no need to walk alone down there. Soon, Yu and Dazi flew to the same height as Dekisugi. Let's go, I don't want to be late. Nobita saw this scene on the ground, and his heart almost collapsed. So you can fly. Then what were you pretending to be like down there just now? So, Nobita, who was left alone, had to walk silently on the way to school, and the negative emotions in his body were almost materialized. At this moment, a circle of flying spells suddenly appeared around him, and then his body floated up. Yu and Dazi appeared again. I thought about it. It seems not good to leave you here. Let's go together. Seeing that Yu and Dazi still wanted to take care of him, Nobita was instantly moved. Thank you, Yu and classmate. You are really my best friend. Looking at the face full of snot and tears approaching quickly, Yu and Dazi waved his hand with a look of disgust and threw him aside. Not long after, Nobita had adapted to the flying technique given to him by Yu and Dazi, and quickly caught up with the two people in front. Yu and classmate, can you give me your magic that allows you to fly? Sure. Yu and Dazi glanced at him, but my trick is based on the basic magic levitation technique. Do you know levitation? After hearing his words, Nobita was depressed. He didn't know any magic, and it seemed that there was no hope for this magic. When the three of them landed in the school, they immediately caused quite a commotion. The main reason for this phenomenon was that Nobita came flying, which made many classmates feel incredible. In this school, who doesn't know Nobita's name? He is already in the 4th grade, but he still can't ride a magic broom. There are also rumors that Nobita doesn't know any magic, not even the most basic magic of all magic, the levitation of objects. Such a good for nothing in the whole school actually flew here today, and he didn't even ride a broom. You know, all the magic that doesn't use flying props is high level magic, and ordinary people can't learn it. The inability to learn here does not mean that ordinary people are not allowed to learn, but that you can't learn this kind of magic spell, even if you put it in front of you. Because this kind of magic, if it doesn't use energy such as magic power to cast spells, then it requires a very high natural affinity of the soul. How high is this requirement? Probably 1 or 2 people can meet the requirements among millions of people. Or people who have experienced years of training can achieve a connection between the heart and nature, just like the immortal grandfather who taught the wood fur spell last time. So being able to see such a flying spell, the students present felt that their day was worth it. When they go home, they will have the capital to brag to their friends that they met a real genius today. Izuki walked aside and casually placed the broom on the parking lot. The 3 of them walked towards the 4th grade class 2. After sitting down in his seat, Izuki said that he had encountered a problem that he could not solve. Dazi, do you know what the teacher assigned yesterday? I should collect the homework now. In this regard, Yu and as he could only spread his hands and said that he didn't know about this matter. Everyone also came from a parallel world. How could he know something you don't know? He is not a god. Of course, it was not only them who felt frightened at this time, but also Jali Saka and Lee Zinai who were as entangled as them. Because of the strength of their souls, their memories were not tampered with by the telephone booth, so they knew nothing about this magical world, let alone homework. Chapter 467 Dancing Doll. Just as they were struggling, the teacher had already arrived in the classroom. Students, let's check the homework now. The 4 people below immediately became nervous. They didn't even know what homework was. Our homework yesterday was to use levitation to make the doll dance. Now I'll show you how. Hearing this, Dekisugi and Yu and Dazi below were relieved. It was just a small matter, and it was too easy to do. But Lee Zinai and Shizuka were in trouble. Although they were also superpowers, they didn't know this kind of magic. The teacher took out a monkey doll on the podium and began to chant a spell to it. Clank-a-la-bang. The monkey doll seemed to have received some instructions and immediately flew up from the podium and began to dance in the air. This is the fine control we talked about some time ago. Is there anyone willing to take the initiative to come up and try it? The teacher looked around, but found that no one in the classroom dared to look at him, and all of them buried their heads. He sighed helplessly. Since no one is willing to take the initiative to demonstrate, then I have no choice but to call on the names. Suddenly, Nobita, Jali Saka and Lee Zinai's hearts were about to jump out. With so many people, is there no one willing to take the initiative to go up? Not long after, the teacher focused his attention on Nobita, who was fidgeting and trembling all over. Of course, it was inevitable to notice him, because compared with the others, Nobita's body trembling was too large. Then Nobita, please come up and show everyone the results of your practice at home yesterday. Nobita, who was silently praying in his heart that the teacher would not pick me, finally accepted the fact and began to walk towards the podium. Standing on the podium, Nobita hesitated for a while before saying, report to the teacher. I don't know. Hearing this, the teacher was stunned for a moment, but soon accepted the reality. According to Nobita's situation, this result was predictable. After standing on the podium and looking at Nobita for a long time, the teacher said, forget it. You just need to float this doll and turn it around, and you will have completed yesterday's homework. Hearing this, Nobita touched his chest with the index fingers of both hands. Sorry, teacher, I said I don't know how to levitate. The students present said that they were shocked. They were already in the 4th grade, and there were still people who didn't know how to levitate. After a brief silence of a few seconds, a burst of laughter broke out in the classroom, and the crisp laughter could be heard throughout the building. Almost everyone present was laughing, and only a few people like Yu and Dazi knew the inside story, so they quietly waited for the next words. The teacher on the podium finally couldn't stand it anymore. What are you talking about? Levitation is a basic magic for 1st graders. Nobita just lowered his head. He couldn't say anything about it now. Seeing his guilty look, the teacher couldn't bear to blame him anymore, so he had to forgive him. Forget it, I'll teach you again. Then he pointed his finger at the doll. Listen, calm down, focus your attention on the doll, and say clank-a-la-bang. Nobita nodded, opened his eyes wide, and stared at the doll, shouting loudly, clank-a-la-bang. The scene was very noisy. The doll didn't move at all, but the students below laughed so hard that they couldn't take care of themselves. Unwilling to give up, Nobita tried a few more times, but the result was the same as before. The doll didn't respond at all. Finally, Sunia, who was about to die of laughter, stood up and said loudly, "Teacher, why don't you let me try it now?" Seeing how confident he was, the teacher nodded. "Okay, Nobita, you can learn more from the side." But seeing Sunia laughing like this, Yu and Dazi knew that nothing good would happen after Sunia went up. As expected, when Sunia stood on the podium, he suddenly pointed at Nobita and said, "Clang, bang." Nobita suddenly felt that his body was out of control, and he slowly floated up and began to make faces in the air. This was not the end. Sunia continued to chant the spell, making Nobita pose in various postures in the air, making all his faces disappear. The students below were almost laughing to death at this scene. The performance of Sunia and Nobita on the podium was so funny. However, Giles Asuka and Lisa Nayu below could not laugh at all. If it were them on the podium, they would probably not want to live after being laughed at like this. Dekisugi also said that he couldn't stand it anymore. Sunia was really going too far. After waiting for a long time, the teacher came back to his senses and quickly used the levitation technique to dispel Ziofu's spell. "Ziofu, this is not right." Ziofu smiled and said, "It's okay. He is such a loser. Maybe this will motivate him to study." As soon as he finished speaking, Yu and Dazi slowly stood up and said, "Teacher, let me try it too." Everyone else fell silent. Was Yu and Dazi standing up now, intending to go up and finish him off? However, after Yu and Dazi exuded his aura, they all shut their mouths obediently. The teacher hesitated for a while, but still agreed. "Okay, please come up and show us how to make this doll dance." Yu and Dazi walked to the podium and took a deep look at Ziofu. This time he really went too far. He had seen his classmates being bullied by others before, but at that time, he stood aside and chose to remain silent. He had no ability and didn't want to be implicated, so he could only watch from the side. At that time, anyone who helped him would be tantamount to going against the other bullies, and he didn't dare. Now that he has enough ability but does nothing, he can't get over this hurdle in his heart. When he saw Yu and Dazi was about to come up, Ziofu's keen sixth sense told him that he had to leave quickly, otherwise it would be too late. But just when he wanted to say that he would go back first, an invisible force sealed his mouth, making him unable to say a word. Yu and Dazi looked at the doll next to him, pointed at it and whispered, "Clang kala bang." The doll responded and began to dance in the air. But in addition to the doll, Ziofu next to him felt that his body was controlled and began to dance with the doll on the podium. Ziofu, like the doll, couldn't help but tiptoe, moved small steps on the podium, and then jumped hard and split in the air. At this moment, Ziofu's face turned green. His untrained ligaments were not enough to support him to split. The students below saw Ziofu's ecstatic expression and laughed even louder. Chapter 468 Nobita's Determination. Yu and Dazi, you actually followed Ziofu to disrupt the order of the class. You two should go out and stand together. As the teacher ordered, Ziofu's levitation technique immediately threw Ziofu out, and then Yu and Dazi took a deep look at the students who were laughing happily in the classroom. No matter who it was, as long as the other party made a fool of themselves in front of them, they laughed more happily than anyone else. After leaving the classroom, Yu and Dazi began to check the spells he had not learned yet. Anyway, there was nothing to do now, so he might as well seize the time to increase his attack methods. Now his magic power has reached its peak. Even if he continues to practice, he probably won't be able to draw the 10 seals before the decisive battle. In comparison, the hundreds of spells of various uses given to him by the soul-devouring monument before naturally became the best way to improve his strength. The teacher glanced at Nobita and said, "Nobita, you should go back to your seat first." He turned around and returned to his seat, silently remembering Yu and Dazi's kindness. After this incident, the teacher didn't dare to let the students come up to answer questions anymore, so he just continued today's explanation. As for Nobita's problem, I'll call his mother later. Someone must supervise his studies. He has even forgotten the most basic magic, such as levitation. This must be told to his mother, so that she can discipline him strictly. If he doesn't know any magic, it will be very difficult to find a job, let alone survive in this world. After school, Yu and Daisy went straight into his house and continued to carve defensive magic patterns. Recently, he has carved more than a dozen magic patterns, including defense, illusion, anti-reconnaissance and almost all the necessary types. King Yu has also stopped practicing physical skills and started to learn magic pattern carving with Yu and Daisy. This child has absorbed all the energy of the blue water. In fact, he still has some strength, but he has not been able to use it until now. The previous training was also to let him absorb the energy left in his body as soon as possible. When he completely integrates the energy, he should be able to break the limit of his body and start practicing supernatural powers. When Nobita returned home, he was scolded by his mother, who wanted him to study harder. In this world, if you don't even know these basic magics, then it is impossible to achieve anything. The class solidification in the magic world is more serious than in reality. In the real world, as long as you dare to fight, there may be a glimmer of hope for advancement. When you find an opportunity to start a business, even if your education level is a little low, there will still be a large number of people following you. Anyway, education level is not something that is hung on the wall every day, and they have a large number of talents working for them. But the magic world is completely different. If you don't know magic, then basically no one will look up to you. Now Nobita can't even ride a broom for travel, and he can't drive a magic carpet. Who would work for such a boss? In the final analysis, education level in the real world does not necessarily represent ability, but here, how much ability can get what kind of education level? So my mother said that she was very worried. If you fall to the bottom, there is almost no chance to come up again. Nobita, who was scolded for half an hour, said that he was very sad. He thought the magic world would be a very easy world. Of course, for those who are proficient in magic, this place is still relatively easy. Doraemon stood in front of him and comforted him. What do you think? How about we return to the original world? Nobita nodded helplessly. Well, now it seems that this world is really not friendly to people like us. In this regard, Doraemon did not comment, but took out his own phone booth. Just when the blue fat man was about to enter the phone booth to modify the world, the voices of Fat Tiger and Sunia suddenly came. Hey Nobita, do you want to go out for a broom ride? Broom ride? What is that? Nobita looked at Fat Tiger and Sunia outside in confusion. At this time, they were riding two brooms, looking at Nobita with a playful look outside Nobita's window. Anyway, no one is backing him up now, so it's easy for them to tease him anyway, right? Sunia proudly pointed to the broom with the handle below. This is a high-end broom imported from France. How is it? You must have never seen it. Super fashionable appearance design. Handle that conforms to the curve of the human body. Riding on it is simply a kind of enjoyment. Then he waved to Nobita. How about it? If you want to ride it, I can lend it to you. As soon as the voice fell, he said to himself, oh, how could I forget that Nobita can't ride a broom at all? After all, he can't even levitate. Seeing him like this, Nobita was so angry that several steam came out of his head, but he had no way to refute it, because it was a fact. Fat Tiger and Sunia laughed at Nobita wantonly, and then drove the magic broom, and began to fly towards the forest in the west. What a hateful guy. Seeing Sunia so arrogant, Nobita changed his mind instantly. He didn't plan to leave the magic world in such a mess. Doraemon shook his head helplessly. It seems that these two guys have no change in personality, no matter which world they are in. Then Nobita, I'll go and restore the world to its original state. He was about to make a phone call, but Nobita suddenly turned around and stopped him. Wait a minute. I don't think we can leave like this. Looking at the flame on Nobita's back, Doraemon paused. He remembered that he didn't give him the hot bean paste bun. Nobita, clenching his hands, said sternly, since we have come to this world, we must at least learn a magic. Let's go find Shizuka. Nobita pulled the blue fat man and started running towards Shizuka's home. Doraemon couldn't understand why he suddenly became motivated. Since you want to learn magic, why don't you go to Yu and Eiji or Dekisugi? Aren't they more powerful? Hearing this, Nobita turned around and showed a bright smile. Because Shizuka is my wife, I believe that she will definitely not teach worse than those two people. The blue fat man's eyes instantly turned into dead fish eyes. He had been insulted so much, but this guy didn't forget to pick up girls. It was amazing. But it's good this way. If he goes to find Shizuka at this time, her impression of Nobita should also change, right? At this time, Yu and Daisy had also finished carving the last magic pattern, and his nest was completely stable. Then Yu and Daisy walked to the phone and dialed the number of Chumushin's bedroom. Not long after, the phone was connected. Junfei, I have completed the preparations here. Come over and play. Zyashin, who was reading, immediately closed the magic book in his hand. Really? I'll go over now. After that, he began to organize his things. He only found out, after returning home today, that almost all the encyclopedias he had collected had become magic books. For example, the biological encyclopedia became a complete anatomy of biological anatomy, the biography of world greats became the life of the magic master, and popular science books such as 100,000 Whys became the principles of magic. However, many of these things were impossible for him to practice. After all, he was not affected by the telephone booth, and was still a scientific and technological talent. But he thought Yu and Daisy should be able to do it. After all, he was a magician. So if he packed these and sent them over, it should be pretty good. And he also left a few books for himself, such as books on meditation and some methods of using telekinesis. Soon, Izuki went out with a big bag of books, ready to visit the nest of Yu and Daisy. And Nobita also found Shizuka, ready to practice the floating technique with her. At this time, in the outer space of the earth, a purple light was falling from the sky, and was about to fall in the Sea of Trees. Chapter 469, The Sea of Trees. More than 10 minutes later, a violent tremor spread throughout the town where they were, scaring some people so much that they sat on brooms and flew into the sky. Yu and Daisy was talking to Demishin about these mutated books when suddenly a loud tremor was heard, followed by an earthquake. However, the magic pattern that Yu and Daisy had arranged at home emerged and immediately calmed the tremors in the house. However, because of this change, they had to stop discussing magic and stood up to look at the source of the sound. Yu and Daisy picked up a nearby map and began to check the situation. What's going on? The direction over there seems to be a sea of trees. Why don't we go over there and take a look? King Guy also came down from the upstairs. Brother, the mirror upstairs shows that something seems to have fallen from the western sea of trees. Yu and Daisy nodded. I see. Let's go over there and check the situation now. As he spoke, a cloak appeared on Yu and Daisy's body, carrying him to the western sea of trees. And Zyashin stretched out her hand, and the broom that had been sweeping the yard downstairs flew up directly and turned into a brand new mount. As for King Gyu, when he jumped out of the window, a colorful cloud appeared under his feet. As a well-known auspicious beast, manipulating the cloud is one of his most basic abilities. The three of them chose the most labor-saving way to deal with the battle that might happen next. Nobita and Doraemon were at Shizuka's house, watching Nobita continue to practice the levitation technique. Finally, after Nobita's repeated efforts, the puppet's clothes seemed to move. It moved. Nobita, you are not far from success now. Doraemon, who had been watching the puppet, was so happy that he almost went crazy. Hearing Doraemon's words, Nobita, who was originally dying, suddenly became energetic. What? Are you serious? It seems that I have to try again. As he said, he drew a few circles in the air with his index finger and shouted loudly, clank-a-la-bang. This time, the object levitation technique was very effective. Not only did the puppet's clothes move, but even Shizuka's clothes were also floated up. Yeah. Great. Stupid Nobita succeeded. Doraemon stood on one foot excitedly and began to spin on the ground. Nobita was also dancing with joy. Yes, now I finally succeeded. After hundreds of failures, they finally succeeded in using the levitation technique for the first time. Then the two looked at each other and immediately looked at Shizuka. In order to ensure that we can remember how to use this magic, we have to do it a few more times. Clang, bang. At this time, Shizuka immediately covered her skirt to prevent it from being lifted up by Nobita again. But it was no use. They could clearly see that the edge of the clothes was curling up crazily. After the two guys recited the spell several times in a row, Shizuka finally couldn't stand it anymore. Have you two had enough of making trouble? After being yelled at, they came to their senses and seemed to have really gone too far. After 2 seconds of silence, they immediately knelt down in front of Shizuka. Note, the meaning of knelt down can be understood as kneeling. Then they began to worship Shizuka like worshipping Buddha. Sorry, we are really just too excited. After Shizuka looked back at them, the anger in her heart gradually dissipated. Although they are indeed some assholes, they probably wouldn't make such a joke. And Nobita should be happy from the bottom of his heart that he can use the levitation technique this time. Forget it, since they are my students, I will let them go this time. Just as she turned around and prepared to forgive the two, a loud noise came from the distance, interrupting their conversation. What's going on? Why is there such a strong vibration? Shizuka muttered to herself as she looked at the source. Nobita and Doraemon immediately stood up. Why don't we go and take a look? After learning the first magic, there is no need to stay here. The three of them immediately reached a consensus and prepared to go to the location of the western forest to take a look. In the forest, Fat Tiger and Sunia were catching insects here, planning to take them back and show them off in front of Nobita. Anyway, Nobita can't ride a broom, and he has no chance to come here normally, so of course they have to hit him. But just as they were having fun, a purple meteor suddenly fell from the sky, making the whole forest tremble. Then, the almost black flame spread, taking away all the vitality of a small forest, emitting terrifying energy. My god, what happened over there? Sunia looked at the gushing purple black flames and subconsciously wanted to get away. But Fat Tiger grabbed him and said, let's go to the center of the flames together. What fell from the sky might be a treasure. Hearing the word treasure, Sunia couldn't walk anymore. After hesitating for a while, Fat Tiger and Sunia, two people who were not afraid of death, decided to go to the place where the meteor fell. In the depths of the sea of trees, in the magnificent church, Pastor Manu looked at the crystal ball in front of him with concern. Why is there a demonic breath here? Miyako, go and take a look at the situation over there. A short-haired girl walked out of the room, stood behind her father and replied, yes, my father. The magic carpet flew out from another room, carrying Miyako to check the place where the meteor fell. Fat Tiger and Sunia arrived first, because of the distance, and then began to check the situation nearby. It's really strange. What happened just now? I clearly saw a black meteor. Sunia flew to a tree, stretched out his hand, and touched the branches, and the place he touched immediately scattered, and turned into ashes. It's amazing. It's all burned to ashes. Who has such a strong power to do all this? The two of them explored here for a while, and any creature in the area where the meteor fell had no chance of being spared. Just as they were about to leave, Sunia suddenly saw a purple creature jumping around in the woods. Sunia immediately patted Fat Tiger's shoulder, pointed at the purple creature and shouted, Fat Tiger, look there. As Sunia's index finger looked, a purple creature jumped around between the branches, leaving a pile of ashes. Fat Tiger made a quick decision. Let's go, Sunia. Let's catch that strange creature now. As he spoke, he had already driven the broom and started chasing the purple creature. Ah, I thought it was a monkey, but it turns out it's not. Sunia also drove his broom, ready to attack this mysterious thing from both sides. Nobita and Shizuka finally sat on a broomstick, because he really didn't know how to ride a flying broomstick. Doraemon took out a bamboo dragonfly and put it on himself, following them to eat dog food. When they were approaching the sea of trees, a few people caught up with them from behind and flew to their side. Hey, are you also going to the sea of trees to investigate the loud noise? Then we are really destined to be together. It was not until you and Daisy's voice came that they noticed that there were a few more people around them, which made them a little surprised. Unexpectedly, the flying skills of these three people were so superb that they could get close without anyone noticing. It turned out to be you. Shizuka was a little happy. Even Kingai is here? Is it appropriate for you to let him come? Although the world has changed, people's network of relationships has not changed much. Although Kingai and Shizuka have not met many times, they still have some impression of each other, so they are not strangers. Gian and Daisy was not worried at all. Don't worry, although he is not as good as us, his strength is not bad. Nobita pointed at Daisy and Kingai. By the way, why are your two flying methods so special? King Gai was about to speak when he was interrupted by Yu and Daisuke. This is a secret, don't ask. Speaking of this, Shizuka looked at Doraemon next to her. Dora-chan's flying method seems to be very strange. Chapter 470, Capture the Little Devil. You mean this? This is a super small propeller plane made with high technology. The blue fat man was obviously very proud of his props and showed off his props happily. Although it looks like a propeller, it has an anti-gravity device installed inside, so it can lift a lot of weight. It has a super strong human magnetic conductivity design, so it won't fall off easily when stuck on a person's head. And unexpectedly, Shizuka suddenly laughed. You are really joking, hasn't that thing been proven to be superstition long ago? Hearing this, Nobita and Doraemon next to her were obviously stunned. They didn't expect that the technology they developed in the past would be so worthless in this world. But Yu and Daisy next to him disagreed. Who knows? The world is so vast now, and the places we know are just the tip of the iceberg. Maybe there are places where technology is advanced and magic has become superstition. That's right, I believe that technology may also exist in this world. Zyadishan also enthusiastically joined the discussion. He obviously agreed with Yu and Daz's statement. Anyway, magic can exist in their real world, so why can't technology exist in the magic world? Maybe these two worlds have never been separated. The difference is which one has become the mainstream. The group entered the sea of trees during the discussion and then found a large withered forest. Seeing this, Yu and Daisy took the lead and headed over there. Now it seems that the meteor's landing point is there. The others nodded and drove the flying props together to follow Daisuke. Arriving in the withered forest, Yu and Daisuke and others began to descend and check the condition of the trees. Yu and Daisuke and Imushin activated perception together. It seems that a very powerful magic has passed here. According to their senses, although the magic fluctuations are very strong, it is still a long way behind Yu and Daisuke. According to the residual traces of magic at the scene, the strength of the newcomer should be equivalent to that of Yu and Daisuke when he was at level 3 and 3 to 4 seals. King Gai was not very clear about their training methods, so she just had to follow them and smile and nod. Just as they were further expanding their exploration range, an explosion suddenly came from the distance, instantly attracting their attention. The group immediately took off and looked in the direction of the explosion. Black smoke continued to pour out from the ground. Wait, everyone, look over there. Those two people seem to be Fat Tiger and Sunia. Shizuka pointed to the top of the woods. Two people were riding brooms in the air, and black lightning flashed behind them from time to time. Dekisugi's mental power had also covered that area, and gave a positive answer. Yes, those two people are indeed them, but what is the creature behind them? Don't worry about it for now, I'll go save people first. Yu and Daisuke immediately broke away from the team. At this time, Fat Tiger and Sunia didn't see them at all, because the attacks behind them were too dense, and they couldn't be distracted to look at other areas. Fat Tiger, be careful behind you. Sunia saw the purple lightning in the corner of his eye, which was about to hit the two of them. This lightning was very rough, and when Fat Tiger also noticed it, they could no longer avoid this attack. These two guys are lying down too quickly, aren't they? Yu and Daisuke, who rushed over, saw that the situation was not good, and quickly stretched out his hand to release a blue lightning, blocking the path of the purple lightning. The blue and purple energy collided in the air, and finally the two entangled together to form a lightning ball. The two of them were stunned when they saw this scene. Who saved them just now? Seeing this, Yu and Daisuke hurriedly shouted, "Go! This energy ball is unstable and will explode." Fat Tiger Sunfu woke up from his dream and hurriedly drove his flying broom away from this place. A few seconds later, the blue-purple lightning ball exploded, turning the tops of several nearby trees into ashes. After relieving Sunfu and the others of the crisis, Yu and Daisuke dispersed his mental power to capture the so-called mysterious creature, intending to try to catch it alive. From the attack just now, the power is between level 2 and level 3. The attacker is almost a novice among level 3 mages. I found it. Yu and Daisuke crossed his hands in front of his chest, and a big fireball quickly formed in his palms. Take my attack, flame 6 stars. After saying that, Yu and Daisuke threw his magic The fireball began to grow rapidly after leaving his hand, and then he quickly fell to the ground. The monster below also sensed the danger and immediately broke away from the sea of trees, trying to leave the trajectory of this magic. The plan went smoothly at the beginning. According to the original trajectory of the big fireball, it had completely left the attack range. But it didn't expect that this huge fireball, which obviously didn't touch anything, suddenly exploded in the air. Is this a feint? This thought flashed through his mind, but he quickly denied it. According to the magic fluctuations, this fireball attack could definitely not be fake. After the fireball exploded, 6 smaller fireballs extended from the inside, continuing to chase the monster in the air at a faster speed. Damn it. The purple monkey-like monster gritted its teeth and tried to dodge in the air. However, these 6 fireballs were all magic fireballs with tracking capabilities. When he was locked by Yu and as his mental power, it was not so easy to dodge. Damn it. The monster noticed the abnormality of the fireballs and immediately increased his flying speed to the highest, dodging the fireballs that passed by him one after another. Not long after, the continuous dodging had exhausted him. He knew that, if he continued to hide, he would definitely have no way to survive. In addition, the user of the magic was gone. In a duel between magicians, once the opponent's vision was lost, it was equivalent to losing half. Thinking of this, the little devil stopped dodging and fully stimulated his energy to use his strongest move, the Snake of Destruction. The energy that erupted from the demon seemed to be able to swallow even light, and the visibility around him dropped instantly at this moment. Then the light surrounding him turned into a black snake that kept moving around and easily swallowed the flying fireballs. Seeing this attack, Nobita and the others had already retreated. The leaked energy alone was enough to scare them. They had no doubt that, if they were hit, they would definitely not survive. Doraemon finally panicked and began to search his pockets. Where is the reflective cloak? Where is my cloak? The little devil's eyes began to search for Yu and as his location quickly. He wanted to pour all his remaining energy on this bastard. Yu and as he on the ground, looked at the devil in the sky. Oh, this energy is the first time I have seen it. The consciousness of destruction is too strong. Is it the power of destruction? No, but it is very similar. The voice of Old Man Ling sounded. Let's spare his life later. This is a good seedling. Okay, I'll try my best. Yu and as he half crouched on the ground, and the magic power in his hand quickly poured into the ground, activating the magic pattern he had just drawn. Just as the little devil was searching for Yu and as a red light suddenly lit up on the ground, focusing everyone's attention on the ground. With this guidance, the little devil quickly found the source of the light, Yu and as who was squatting on the ground injecting magic. Go to hell. The devil stretched out his claws, and the destruction snake rushed towards him without hesitation. But Yu and as who was squatting on the ground, had no intention of dodging. No, the energy here is too terrifying. Even if it is his body, it will be difficult to take it. Just when Chumushin couldn't help but want to make a move, the destruction snake hit a layer of fiery red barrier in the air, and this killing move was bounced back. Yu and as he on the ground, raised his mouth slightly, fighting against a magician. The attention was actually on his first magic. What a failure. The light on the ground was extremely rich at this moment, and the deep red flame broke through the ground. This was a 3rd level high level magic, Earth Fire Eruption. This was an ability that Yu and as he had researched some time ago. Although the Earth Fire Eruption was powerful, it required a certain amount of preparation time, and once the spell was cast, the preset location could not be changed. However, as long as a simple magic pattern is used to lay a small formation, part of the energy can be turned into a barrier, trapping the enemy in one place to ensure the hit. The red light shot up into the sky, breaking through the obstruction of the giant snake, and swallowing the little devil in the sky. This scene was seen by the white-haired snake woman in the distance. She wanted to save the little devil, but after seeing this energy column, she gave up the idea. This light column has exceeded the limit of her energy. Now the mission is the most important thing. There is no need to conflict with the other party. It's just a little devil, let it die. The fire disappeared, and the smell of burning floated in the air, which made Yu and as who had been eating insects recently, have an appetite again. The wings behind the purple monkey were burnt, and a lot of skin on its body had fallen off, looking very miserable. If the snake of destruction had not weakened the attack power of the gushing earth fire, and Yu and Dazi had deliberately lowered the output power, it would have been dead now. Even so, the little devil had been beaten unconscious, dragging a trail of smoke in the air, and falling to the land below. And as he raised his hand again, and a gust of cold wind whistled past, freezing the demon in the air into an ice sculpture. Then he wrapped it with his mental power and slowly grabbed it over. Okay, let's see how you can harm people again. Seeing that he solved the monster with one blow, the people behind him hurried over and began to check the spoils. Fat Tiger rolled up his sleeves. This guy really deserves a beating. Why don't I destroy it? What do you think, classmate Gian? And as he just smiled. Even if the old man didn't say it, he would not agree to kill this little demon. In the future, there will probably be many times when all members are dispatched like now, so we have to leave something to guard the house, right? Although this thing is not very strong, according to what the old man said, there is still room for improvement. Maybe we can try to cultivate it. I didn't expect that Yu and Dazi is still so powerful even in the magic world. Nobita looked at Yu and Dazi with some jealousy, letting this guy steal the limelight again. Just as they were discussing how to deal with it, there was a sudden burst of admiration from the side. It's amazing. She can defeat monsters at such a young age. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a short-haired girl in a pink dress watching them from the side. And Yu and Dazi immediately turned his head and looked at Demishin. "Ek, is this person your relative?" Huh? Everyone exclaimed together and then carefully compared the two people. If it weren't said, no one would have noticed that the girl's face shape and facial features are 70% similar to Demishin. Xianishin quickly stepped back. "Don't talk nonsense. I really don't know him." Miyako also nodded. "Yes, I didn't expect that there would be someone who looks so much like me here. Since we are so predestined, why don't we go to my house and sit together?" Chapter 471 Suspicion. Go to your house. Could it be that you are Miss Miyako? Oh my god, it's really you. Shizuka looked at the girl in front of her, gradually overlapping her shadow with that of the famous person, and a look of yearning appeared in her eyes. "Miss Miyako, why don't you sign an autograph for me? I'm your fan." After Shizuka said her name, Fat Tiger and Sunia also became excited and began to gather around to ask for autographs. "Hey, do you know who this Miyako is?" Nobita poked Dekishan next to him. He knew nothing about the situation here. Miss Miyako is a famous magic scholar here. Although she is not much older than us, she is already well known in the academic world. At the same time, she is also the strongest magician here, the daughter of the full moon priest. Dekishan answered her message smoothly, and then Nobita also joined the ranks of asking for autographs. And he quietly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he accidentally saw her when he was reading a book this afternoon, otherwise it would be troublesome. If he also knew nothing about Miyako, then the fact that they also traveled through time would probably be exposed. After Miyako signed their names, she looked at Yu and Dazi and the others. Sure enough, people with real ability will not worship another person. More often, they will only believe in themselves. How about going with me to meet my father? Maybe he would like to talk to you. Miyako once again invited everyone, and this time no one refused. The full moon reverend is the strongest priest in the world. Who would not be happy to have the opportunity to talk face to face with a living legend? Then we will set off. You should be able to catch up, right? Miyako looked at the children behind her. She wanted to see how basic these people were. Don't worry, no matter where you go, we will definitely follow you. Fat Tiger stretched out his hand to show off his muscles. This made Yu and Dazi curl his lips. He was really shameless. Moreover, this is a magical world, and his muscles can't solve any problems at all. As she spoke, Miyako had already urged the magic carpet and began to fly away. The others hurriedly followed, and after a few seconds, no one could be seen in this place. Medusa gradually walked out of the shadows and looked at the direction they were going. Who was that little kid just now? He was so strong. Do you want to report it? Then she denied her thoughts. No need. They didn't seem to be mentioned in the prophecy of the demon lord. Judging from his intention, Shapaji is not in danger for the time being. Wait until the demon lord conquers the earth, and then pick it up, if it is still alive by then. After making a plan, Medusa followed them from a distance, so that they could find the hiding place of the full moon priest. In midair, Yu and Dazi was thinking about the information from the previous battle. Some things made him a little concerned. The two magics I cast just now seem to be about 30% more powerful than I expected. What is the reason? The voice of Old Man Ling suddenly appeared. There are two reasons. The first is that the concentration of natural forces in the current world is much higher than in the previous world. When you release magic, you will involuntarily absorb energy to amplify the magic. The second reason is a perception of the law. Compared with the last time you cast a spell, your perception of the law has become much stronger, and the power of the magic has naturally increased. After the old man explained his doubts, he fell silent and pretended to be dead again. Yanjin, I have never seen the magic you just cast. Can you tell me where you learned it? When Yu and Dazi was in a daze, Miyako still asked the doubts in her heart. She read a lot of books in the library of the doctor's house and thought she knew a lot about magic. But the few magics that Yu and Dazi cast just now completely exceeded his understanding of magic. First of all, up to now, she has never heard of any flying magic that can keep up with the speed of the magic carpet. If the speed of a broom is that of a motorcycle, then the magic carpet is equivalent to a high-end sports car. He also knows flying magic, but his speed is at most equivalent to that of an electric car. You catch up with a sports car in an electric car. No matter which world you are in, it doesn't seem right. And those attack magics were also something she had never seen before. They were so powerful without chanting spells, and they could carve complete patterns on the ground. These were beyond her cognition. At least there was no precedent in the ancient books she had read, but there were records that demons could easily do similar things. This was also the reason why they had no confidence in repelling the demons. The gap in knowledge and magic between the two sides was too big. In summary, she was now wary of Yu and Dazi, and planned to get something out of him. If he was really a spy, then he had to die here no matter what. You said my magic. All these things were learned from an ancient book. It's normal that you don't know. This was not a lie. He did learn from the ancient magic atlas of the soul-devouring monument. But Miyako didn't plan to give up. So what is the name of this ancient book? I want to see it too. As long as she could get the name, she could check the authenticity, and she could also learn more magic. The Demon World Star was approaching, and it would be great if she could learn these self-defense methods. But Yu and Dazi shook his head. It's not convenient for me to reveal this matter. Please forgive me. Just when he was about to say something, Yu and Dazi suddenly became alert, and lightning magic began to gather in his hands. Stop it. Miyako saw that the situation was not right, and hurriedly shouted, they are all my guests. Please don't hurt each other. In the open space in front of the church, a stone sculpture put down the bow and arrow in its hand, and Yu and Dazi also cancelled the magic in his hand. Just now, he felt that someone here was trying to attack him, so he was ready to fight back. If that stone dared to really shoot a stone arrow, then Yu and Dazi's magic would smash his bow and arrow and the stone into pieces. The things they put here can only barely resist the third level monsters, and they are useless at all. Not to mention Yu and Dazi, even the little monkey he just caught, can easily destroy the sculpture. But now the little devil has begun to lose vital signs. If it weren't for his ice magic to seal its body, it would have died long ago. It seems that I have to deal with this little thing quickly, after I go back. Yu and Dazi put the thing into his cloak, after looking at the reason. The attack just now was probably due to this little devil. He decided to think about how to deal with it, after he went back. After all, it is something from the Demon Star. If you carry it with you all the time, maybe other people will be suspicious, right? The group landed outside the cathedral safely. Miyako used magic to roll up the magic carpet, but she sighed in her heart that she didn't get anything useful just now. Wow, what a beautiful house. Brother, can you move to a house like this in the future? Looking at the magnificent church-style residence in front of him, King Gaiu's eyes once again burst into little stars, and she already had some thoughts of comparison. In fact, with Yu and Dazi's financial resources, it would not be a problem to move to another house. However, as a senior money grubber, how could he possibly meet such an impolite request? If it was a necessary item, it would be fine, but such a request would be nipped in the bud. Moreover, after changing a residence, he would have to spend a lot of time to reconstruct the magic pattern. He would have nothing better to do than to change his place of residence. Thinking of this, Yu and Daisy held out 2 fingers to him. Of course, no problem. You have 2 choices. First, you pay for it yourself. Second, build one yourself. After that, he took the lead in walking into the auditorium and prepared to visit Pastor Manu first. Everyone just smiled at this and didn't take it to heart. Since he said this, it was obvious that he was rejected, so why bother about it? But maybe when he thinks of this one day, he will regret not meeting his request. King Guy was stunned for a while. He thought about it for a long time, but still didn't understand what Daisy meant. Soon, he put this matter behind him and followed the people in front of him into the church. Chapter 472 History, Part 1. Walking into the church, the first thing they saw was a long corridor, which made them a little disappointed. TSK, I thought the hall of the church would be right after entering the door, but it's just a corridor after all this time. Yu and Daisy and the others suppressed their disappointment and began to look around. There's nothing to see here, but the murals on it are pretty good, and they seem to be worth seeing. After hearing what Yu and Daisy said, everyone raised their heads and began to observe the murals. The pictures here are very rich, with many heroic pictures of wars and strange looking creatures teaching humans magic. There are many kinds, but it gives people a messy feeling. Just as they walked forward, a bald man in the crowd on the mural suddenly flew out, and Nobita and the others immediately pointed their things at him. Yu and Daisy and the others had already noticed the person hiding in the mural, so they just looked at him curiously. You can actually defeat the monster successfully. It's true that heroes emerge from youth. The bald middle-aged man in a black suit floated down from the wall and stood in front of everyone. Are you really the full moon priest? I've always wanted to discuss magic with you face to face. Fat Tiger immediately ran to the full moon priest. He admired the strong the most, and this one of the strongest people in the world was naturally his most admired idol. Of course it's me. The full moon priest stroked his beard and seemed to be very happy with this admiration. Why don't you all go with me for a cup of tea first, and then slowly talk about the monsters? Of course, no problem. The people behind him all agreed in unison. They were also very curious about the monsters. But what made Yu and Daisy even more curious was how this bold uncle got into the wall just now. This magic was not within their record range. He hurriedly asked, "Old man, did you find anything just now? Did you write down the magic fluctuations?" The old man answered him slowly, "Don't worry, I won't let go of such fun things. I'm now reverse deducing. Give me some time, and don't disturb me." Yu and Daisy nodded and followed the full moon priest forward until he stopped in front of a stone door with strange patterns painted on it. This magic fluctuation should be the magic pattern. Yu and Daisy sensed these patterns and gave a conclusion. But soon he lost interest. But this magic pattern is not perfect, and its effectiveness is greatly reduced. The complete magic pattern will not be directly displayed in front of others. The complete magic pattern has the function of hiding, and it will only appear at the moment it starts to work. For example, the magic pattern he carved on the ground just now, it only showed its shape to trap the demon at the moment before the ground fire erupted and released. Although this thing does have some effect, it is indeed too conspicuous to be placed there all the time. If someone has some understanding of the laws involved in the magic pattern, they can recognize the function of this thing at a glance and destroy it in a targeted manner. The full moon priest walked to the stone door and used his magic power to trigger the magic pattern on the door. A strong light flashed and the door was opened, revealing the appearance of the living room inside. "This is where we usually live and work. Please come in and let us entertain you well." Everyone walked into their workplace happily, and the stone door slowly fell, closing the place again. Outside the church, floating in the air, quietly looking at this magnificent church. Is this the human that Lord Dimmer is looking for? We should be able to send him directly to the Demon World Star. The magic power seeped out from under her feet and gradually began to pollute the church's land. By the way, there is also the Demon World history. We have to find a way to snatch it from them. Pastor Manu put the snacks on the table and raised his hand to signal everyone to taste the food. He also picked up a cup of black tea. You have encountered monsters, so now do you believe in the existence of demons? Of course I believe that angels and demons exist. And as he ate a piece of cake and expressed his opinion at the same time. Unexpectedly, Pastor Manu shook his head. I don't know about angels, but at least demons do exist. Others also began to taste the cakes, but their attention did not leave Pastor Manu, waiting for his next words. But doesn't history say that demons gradually perished because of the evolution of humans? Do demons still exist in this world until now? The historical books that Shizuka mentioned made everyone quiet down because they never read books about this part, so they had no idea. Chumashin could only remain silent. He had too many books to read, so he couldn't keep up with the other party's pace. That's just a historical record, some of which were made up by someone, and what I'm looking for are more ancient and real ancient relics, not man-made records. While speaking, Pastor Manu stretched out his hand and waved it in the air. The surrounding scene changed instantly, and pictures appeared out of thin air. According to the conclusion I have drawn from observation, in fact, humans learned magic from demons a long time ago. What? This sentence made Shizuka and the others stand up, with an incredible look on their faces. How is it possible? We humans' magic was actually taught by those horrible creatures? Pastor Manu confirmed this once again. Yes, demons are the origin of human magic. Although the small number of demons that remained on Earth became extinct for various reasons, there are still a large number of demons wandering outside the domain. And in the oldest ruins I have found, it is indeed recorded that the demons came from the demon world. At first it was just a small force, and in order to make humans serve them better, they taught magic. But what they didn't expect was that human development would be so rapid, far beyond their imagination. In the following time, human magic was highly developed, a large number of magic masters emerged, and civilization was extremely prosperous. The picture in the air turned into an ancient city. Although the building materials were not as good as those of this era, the level of luxury far exceeded the current civilization. Nobita also put down the fork in his hand. But how did such a powerful civilization fall? That's a good question. Seeing that he was asking about the direction of his expertise, the doctor happily took 2 steps forward. This is related to the demon star. The picture in the air changed again, and a dark star appeared outside the earth, with black and purple flames burning on the surface, evil and terrifying. The people around couldn't help but shudder, as if the fear of this star had been engraved in their genes, and could not be forgotten. Kingdom, the master of the demon star, received the news that the advanced troops he sent out were wiped out, and he was immediately very angry. So he immediately controlled his demon star, and led a large number of demons to march towards the Earth civilization at that time. Although humans have evolved, the power of demons is still beyond people's imagination. The mere approach of the demon star has already caused the Earth to be in disarray. Endless natural disasters, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and floods have already made them exhausted. In order to protect the people on Earth, all the top masters on Earth gathered together and prepared to go to the demon star to start a war. And the leader among them was Naniodis, the legendary strongest magician among the human race. He led all the masters on Earth to break into the demon star and fought a desperate battle with Kingdom. Speaking of this, Pastor Full Moon couldn't help but sigh, but in the end, the strong men of the era could not defeat the power of the Demon King, and all of them died except Naniodis. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473 History, Part 2. At this point, Priest Manu adjusted his mood and continued. Although they failed, Naniodis succeeded. After the battle, he found a way to resist the Demon King. He used all his strength to carve the divine array on the stars and the moon near the earth, and used the power of an entire star to block the demon star. This powerful magic barrier blocked the Demon King, and also blocked most of the impact of the approaching demon star. The demon star is inaccessible, and the demons have no way to pass through the magic barrier. In this way, humans barely survived under the protection of the divine array. But after thousands of years, the demons have made a comeback, and they may have found a way to crack the divine array. At this point, Priest Manu sighed helplessly, but no matter how I issued a warning, no one believed it. Because of the strategy of our ancestors to forget the pain, they always believed that demons are legends, and it is impossible for them to appear here. Dad, don't be like this. Mayako walked to the side of Priest Manu. At least mom has always believed in you. Don't mention her. Sadness was revealed in Pastor Manu's calm tone. She has signed a contract with the devil and is no longer your mother. And what I'm most worried about is that the contract she signed with the Demon King will become an opportunity for the demon world to return to Earth. If this is really the case, how can I explain to the innocent people on this planet that Shizuka suddenly stood up? Can you tell me why she signed a contract with the Demon King? The atmosphere on the scene suddenly solidified. This question touched on some of their not so good memories. Mayako hesitated for a moment, but still nodded. Let me talk about this matter. Pastor Manu next to him found a place to sit down. This matter seemed to have become a knot in his heart. My mother, like my father, is an excellent magic scholar and is very famous throughout the country. But when I was young, I suddenly contracted a disease that could not be cured by the magic level at that time. In order to save my life, my mother began to seek help in ancient documents. But as everyone knows, in order to deliberately downplay the things of ancient times, even the magic of that time was very little passed down, let alone medical magic. So she was desperate and had to read some magic books that were listed as taboos, and what led her to the abyss was the ancient book that recorded the devil's contract. Pastor Manu suddenly interrupted. I also tried to stop her, but I obviously underestimated her determination. When I wasn't paying attention, she secretly established a magic circle to communicate with the devil and made a contract privately. Pastor Manu covered his eyes with his hands, his voice trembling a little. When she walked into the black flames, Mayako woke up, but she also left forever. Thinking of these things, the full moon priest looked unhappy. Although this happened 10 years ago, I still can't forgive her. No one should make a deal with the devil, even if it's to save people. It can't be a reason. And as he wiped his mouth with a napkin. Now the demon star is attacking again. So what should we do? It's not that there is no way. The full moon priest waved his hand, and a scroll flew out from the painting behind him. Seeing this, and as he couldn't help but sigh that this method of placing things is really good. After he learns magic, he will also use this method to store items. The scroll fell steadily into the full moon priest's hands. This is a relic left by the hero, Narniadis. It records his trip to the demon star and how to defeat the devil. This scroll is called the Demon World Journey. If you get it, there may be a glimmer of hope. Then as long as we have this, won't we lose? Ziofu put down the teacup and seemed to have confidence again. The full moon priest shook his head. It's a pity that these documents are too old, so I can't interpret the history of the demon world. Hearing this, the morale of the people in the room instantly dropped, except for Nobita and Doraemon. Nobita winked at Doraemon. If the documents are interpreted, then the prop should be usable, right? On this matter, the two of them thought of the same thing. Just use the translation konjac, right? They don't know magic, but the props of the future are not inferior to magic at all, and even far exceed it in some places. Doraemon immediately took out the konjac from his pocket and ran to the full moon priest. Please eat this. What is this? It looks a bit like konjac. The full moon priest hesitated for a moment, but still chose to believe them and opened his mouth to eat it. When the full moon priest saw the ancient documents again, he was suddenly shocked because he could understand all these words. Although he still didn't understand the meaning of each of these words, when he saw them, the translation would appear in his mind. The most important thing is that these translations are exactly the same as the parts he can translate, and some parts are more accurate than his translation. In other words, the accuracy of the translation of these uninterpreted parts is likely to exceed 80%. The full moon reverend immediately took the scroll and left. Sorry, I have to go to interpret the documents now. Excuse me. Although the content of these texts has been translated, there are some riddles in them that need to be interpreted, and many of them involve ancient secrets, which still requires a certain amount of time. Miyako hurriedly came over. Sorry, please forgive his rudeness. My father will be like this once he enters work mode. Everyone waved their hands to indicate that they didn't mind. If he excused himself for a while, he could save the world. These are just minor problems. After everyone had almost finished their afternoon tea, Miyako stood up. Next, let me take you back. No, how can I bother you? Everyone shook their heads. We can go back by ourselves. When everyone walked out of the church, Yu and Dazi immediately found that something was wrong here. There seemed to be a part of evil energy under his feet, polluting the land. He immediately remembered that there was another plot here, which was the part where Medusa took the full moon reverend away. So, has she already started setting up the magic circle? Should we stop her? If we pull out Medusa and beat her up now, this part of the plot can be stopped. But it seems that there is no benefit in doing so, and it is not in their interest at all. Nobita, originally did not want to go, but because of Miyako, Nobita was able to get the silver label, and made up his mind to go to the Demon Star to save the full moon priest. If this part is changed, then Nobita does not plan to go to the Demon Star, and he does not have the demon world history in his hands, so how can he play? And the father and daughter obviously will not easily hand over the demon world history to them. If he is the full moon priest, he will definitely find a way to contact the strongest people after interpreting the content, instead of looking for a group of brats. At that time, the plot will be greatly changed. Even if he asks him to go with him, because he defeated Medusa, he may not even get a silver dart in his hand. How can he play? If he steals, then he can indeed get it. But he can't interpret the documents. If he asks Nobita and others for it, they may call him a thief. No matter how you look at it, it will be a loss. After hesitating for a few seconds, Yu and Dazi immediately gave up changing this part of the plot, jumped up and flew away. The others also said goodbye to Miyako, and then rode away on their brooms. After watching them go away, Miyako returned to her room, and continued to observe the movements of the Demon Star. Seeing that the child did not find the arrangement she left at the scene, Medusa was relieved. It seemed that the plan was going smoothly. Moreover, Yu and Dazi did not directly expose her arrangement, which also made her feel a little contemptuous. He did not find the magic circle, which showed that this guy's strength was just so-so. In the conversation just now, Medusa also overheard some content through some magic. There are actually clues about the history of the demon world here. After she completes the magic circle, she will find that thing and snatch it away. Losing the last trump card, the Demon King will definitely be very happy. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but smile. Wait, Earth, you will be in our demon's pocket sooner or later. Chapter 474 Magic Terminator. Then I'll go back first. If you have anything, you can come to me at any time to discuss it. Yu and Dazi waved goodbye to Xiaoshan, and then took King Gayu back to his newly bought house. Xiaoshan was still worried about his own home, so he was unwilling to stay with Yu and Dazi temporarily, and Yu and Dazi was the same. After returning home, the old man continued to supervise King Gayu to learn spells. Now that the power of nature has increased greatly due to the changes in the environment, it is also good news for learning spells. Yu and Dazi looked at Nobita. Sure enough, Nobita's mother has thrown away the telephone booth. In this case, the adventure in the demon world will not end for a while. After using his mental power to detect, Yu and Dazi was completely relieved, and now he was waiting to go to the adventure of the demon world star. Then he began to communicate with Lingfeng. Speaking of which, old man, how is the situation over there? Have you reversed that magic? The voice of the soul-eating monument sounded very energetic, of course, and combined with the memories you provided, I also understand the mission of your adventure this time. The mission of our adventure? Isn't it to throw the silver mark into the heart of the devil? What other missions are there? This is your superficial view. If I'm not mistaken, your so-called silver mark and the heart that turned into the moon are actually the core of the will of the two worlds. From an energy point of view, your world is at a disadvantage, so you can only choose a war of consciousness instead of devouring each other after contact with another piece of world fragment like last time. Now it depends on whether they will be the first to break through the defense of your moon and swallow your world in one fell swoop, or you will use the Sylvan mark to control their will first, let them self-destruct, and return to their origin. And as he touched his head, what are you talking about? Why can't I understand it at all? Forget it, you haven't reached this level, so you won't understand, even if I tell you. The old man said that he was too lazy to talk to this guy. Because of the speed of flight, Nobita and Doraemon have just returned home to discuss the affairs of the magic world. Nobita, you have had enough fun here. It's about time to restore this world to its original state. Nobita agreed. Yes, I know the history of the demon world. I have ridden a broom and learned the levitation technique. I have no regrets. The two of them returned to the room, talking and laughing. At this time, my mother was tidying up the house. When Nobita habitually wanted to greet his mother, Doraemon suddenly screamed, "Oh no." He immediately ran to the closet, pointed to the empty space, and asked his mother, "Mom, where is the telephone booth I put here?" "You mean the big box?" Mom continued to tidy up the bedding. "I threw it to a magic carpet that collects large scraps." "What?" After hearing what their mother said, the two almost collapsed. "Is the telephone booth gone?" "Doraemon, what will happen to us if the telephone booth disappears?" Nobita pulled his face long, and Doraemon was not much better. "Then we will stay in this world forever, and there will be no hope of returning." After a few seconds of silence, they no longer hesitated, put on the bamboo dragonflies, and began to fly towards the nearby garbage dump. Although the world they are in is different now, the general terrain has not changed. So they only need to find the garbage dump according to their memory, and there is no need to think so much. When they were anxiously rushing on the road, and as his cheerful greeting suddenly came from behind. "Hey, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so anxious?" The two looked back and saw that it was and he. After exchanging glances, they immediately carried him away. Seeing the two people who kidnapped him, and he was a little amused. "Hey, what do you want to do?" "It's like this, we had something sent to the garbage dump, and now we want to find it." Dakshin looked into and his eyes and said seriously, "We know you are very powerful, please come and help us, okay?" He was delighted and immediately agreed. Of course, no problem, it's a small matter. But what he thought in his heart was, before, you two still had hope to find the phone booth, but now you let me join. There is no hope at all. His action this time was to destroy their plan to find something. Even if the two people did not take the initiative to invite him, he would find a way to go over to help. Obviously, the demon world star here and the planet in the real world are two different adventures. If the world really changes back, then they still have to go to the outside planet for adventure. If it really changes back, will the content on that planet still be a magic world? What if it becomes a technological world? Or is it a super ancient civilization? If this matter does not concern his life, then he may choose to pursue excitement and go to another world to have a look. However, considering the opponent's strength and the various reasons why he couldn't fail, and he would definitely choose a safer one. After joining the team to find the phone booth, and he felt relieved and began to wait for the opportunity to act. Everyone came to the largest garbage dump nearby, where basically all the large garbage here is handled. At present, the waste here is piled up like a mountain. How easy is it to find something? Nobita and the others found a place to land casually, and the two of them cast their eyes on and he. "Please, and classmate. Don't worry." and he made an okay gesture, and then began to use the levitation technique. The garbage nearby gradually floated up, and they began to sift through the things here, trying to find the phone booth. But and he found that something was not right. There were too many things here, and they were too heavy, which made his magic power consumption a little too fast. "You two come down for a while, I have to change a magic. This way is a bit of a waste of magic." Calling them down, and he chanted a spell, and a yellowish light curtain began to spread under his feet. Earth magic, weightless field. As the magic spread, the surrounding garbage began to float. and he patted the dust off his hands. "That's good. The area within a kilometer is in a weightless zone. You can search at will." Feeling the speed of magic consumption, this magic can only last for an hour and a half at most. The two immediately began to search nearby, trying to find the key items to return to the real world. Yu and Dazi also pretended to find something, but in fact he had already determined its location with his mental power. Not far away, a telephone booth was floating quietly, waiting for its owner to take it home. Are you kidding me? The phone booth hasn't been broken yet. But that's right. After all, it's a prop from the future. It's not that easy to break. Yu and Dazi sighed lightly. I broke the magic manual, and I also broke the phone booth. It seems that all your magic stuff will be ended by me. Although it's very sorry for Doraemon to do this, for the safety of this world, there is no other way. The silent invasion of mental power turned the phone booth into scrap metal, temporarily cutting off their retreat. Anyway, there is one at Doraemon's place. When she comes to everyone, there will be a way to go back. More than half an hour passed, and Nobita was speechless, pointing at the telephone booth that was twisted into a knot by the mysterious power. What should I do? It seems that we are really trapped here. I want to go back to the original world. Nobita knelt on the ground helplessly. It's all you, Doraemon. Why didn't you put away the props after taking them out? Can you blame me for this? It was you who proposed to come to the magic world. It's clearly your fault. The two quarreled in the garbage dump, and Yu and Dazi silently withdrew his spell. Okay, you two can quarrel slowly. I'm going home to rest first. See you next time. Yawning, Yu and Dazi slowly disappeared in front of them and prepared to go home. It was already late now. If they went back earlier, they might be able to catch up with the dinner they made. After the two quarreled for a long time, they finally sat on the ground like exhausted and could only temporarily cease fighting. They were both silent for a while, and finally Doraemon spoke first. Let's go back first. If we continue arguing like this, it won't help solve the problem at all. Chapter 475 Earthquake. After hearing the blue fat man's suggestion, Nobita also agreed. I'd better hurry up and go back to practice levitation. Anyway, I can't go back for a while, so I'll be prepared for the worst. The two of them decided to accept the fact and stay in the magic world for the rest of their lives. As for the time machine they often use, it was selectively forgotten under the influence of some powerful force majeure. Yu and Dazi returned home and found that the atmosphere at home was a bit solemn. The old man and King Gayu stared at each other, neither of them convinced. What are you two doing? Are you playing 1, 2, 3 statues? I didn't expect that you still like this at such an old age. Yu and Dazi made a few jokes and prepared to go to the restaurant to finish his meal. He didn't bother to care about the pair of funny enemies. Who knew that the two of them suddenly grabbed him together? I thought it was you, Yu and Dazi. Yu and Dazi. A few minutes later, he stood in the bamboo forest on the back mountain fully armed, looking helplessly at the countless segmented insects crawling around him. The reason for their quarrel tonight was simple. It was because the segmented insects that had been raised here seemed to have mutated due to the environment, but no one wanted to care. When Yu and Dazi came here, he found that these segmented insects had indeed mutated and became very scary. The thickness of the segmented insect doubled, and the length tripled, just like a giant python. And its legs became more slender and sharp. Each leg was comparable to a knife. But in Yu and Dazi's eyes, the biggest difference between them and before was only the appearance and the amount of energy they provided. Under his ruthless iron hand, he successfully caught a newly grown segmented insect and planned to take it back to braise it today. It happened that his and King Gaiu's bodies were constantly strengthening, and these segmented insects became stronger and provided more energy, which was also good for them. Yu and Dazi tied the two insects with knots to prevent them from running away, and then stuffed them into the cloak. The cloak can collect living things that have lost their ability to resist and have low IQs, and after being nurtured by him for a long time, all their abilities have been improved, including the size of the space. After returning home, Yu and Dazi found King Gaiu still practicing boxing, so he did not disturb her and went to the kitchen to cook dinner for two. Soon, he walked to the dining table with a plate of braised beetle rice and shouted, King Gaiu, it's time for dinner. After that, Yu and Dazi was about to pull out a chair and sit down, but at this moment, a strong vibration suddenly came from nearby. This level of vibration certainly could not destroy the house, where he had carefully carved the magic pattern, but it could knock the plate in his hand off. Oh no, my dinner. Yu and Daisy caught the plate quickly, but failed to save the dishes inside. When the braised beetle meat was scattered all over the floor, Yu and Daisy knew what despair was. My dinner. He knelt silently in front of the meat on the ground, and the resentment in his body was about to materialize. After 2 hours of busy work, this was the result. It was really sad. Seeing Yu and Daisy so pitiful, Kingayu had no choice but to pick up her own dish and walk towards him. Brother, I'll give you my portion, and I'll make another one myself. Really? Yu and Daisy looked up at Kingayu. He began to reflect on himself, whether he had been too harsh on this child before. Kingayu walked towards Yu and Daisy with her plate, and suddenly her foot slipped and stepped on the sauce that Yu and Daisy had just spilled. Oops, Kingayu fell backwards, and the plate in his hand slipped out of his hand and directly hit a face full of hope. The scene was quiet for a while, and Kingayu quietly got up, ready to leave for a while. Yu and Daisy moved the plate off his face. The sauce on his face was emitting heat. He didn't know if it was because the sauce was too hot or because of anger. At the same time, he rolled up the sleeve of his right hand, and the golden cape transformed into a ruler. It seems that today I have to show the power of the killing arm. After practicing to the Mahayana stage, Yu and Daisy wiped the sauce on his face. When did this kid become so black-hearted that he dared to make fun of him? Kingayu ran away without saying a word. If he was caught in this situation, he would definitely not end well. Stinky boy, stop right there. Yu and Daisy followed him and rushed out of the restaurant. If the ground here was not engraved with magic patterns, it would have been stepped on by their power and dented. After all, Kingayu was still young and was no match for Yu and Daisy. He was caught as soon as he ran into the living room. Master Zuling, save me, he is going to kill someone. Kingayu struggled frantically in Yu and Daisy's hand, trying to escape from his clutches. But Yu and Daisy was unmoved. When he was about to teach him a lesson, he suddenly stared at the TV and was stunned. Now I'm going to interrupt you with a news report about the earthquake that just happened. The epicenter is in the western part of the Forest Sea, and the depth is relatively shallow. There are no serious casualties so far. Yu and Daisy just remembered that the location of the earthquake was exactly the same as the direction of the church this afternoon. Could it be related to that place? Kingayu was still making a fuss in his hand at this time, and he was a little impatient. Be quiet. Feeling the sudden change in his aura, Kingayu immediately quieted down and stopped talking. His intuition told him that if he disturbed him at this time, then his problem would be really serious. Oh, I remember. Pastor Manu should have been captured now, and I have to set off too. Yu and Daisy finally recalled the plot and opened his induction technique and found that Nobita and the others had indeed left home. He didn't care much about Pastor Manu being captured, but he was worried about Nobita and the others. If they were injured, then the problem would be even bigger. Then he activated the cleansing technique, and the stains on his face and pants disappeared instantly, and the cloak appeared on his body again. Putting down Kingayu in his hand, he said, "Forget it this time. Don't make such a low-level mistake again." Without paying attention to Kingayu's reaction, Yu and Daisy walked out of the house through the French window and flew directly in the direction of the church. Looking at Yu and Daisy's back, Kingayu was a little confused. What happened to my brother? No one paid attention to him. Even the soul-devouring monument returned to Yu and Daisy's sea of consciousness, ready to observe this battle in person. This battle involved the plot behind, so they had to go over to accompany him. Looking at the empty house, Kingayu kicked the table a little bored, not knowing what to do. Why are they all gone? It's so boring. Even if they beat me, can someone come to accompany me? No one responded, only the voice of the TV host echoed in this empty house. Finally, he walked to the kitchen, cleaned up the stains caused by the earthquake just now, and then started watching TV. After Yu and Daisy flew out of the house, he immediately opened his induction technique with all his strength and began to search for Nobita's whereabouts. The people below were completely unaware of this spiritual power and continued to do their own things. After all, they were just ordinary people. Even if they could communicate with some natural forces, their souls would not change at all. Soon, He found Nobita and Doraemon in front of him. The two were flying towards the church with a bamboo dragonfly. At this time, he was very curious why Doraemon didn't just use the anywhere door to go there, but he couldn't ask. Because in this magical world, other people definitely didn't know about the anywhere door. Asking would be equivalent to telling the other party that there was something wrong with him. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.